Hello, everyone. Make sure that it's all right. I'm just gonna take this, like this, get like that, and try to. Yeah, the on the air sign is blocked. It's not in the right position. I need to move it. So I try to just, move a little bit, but fortunately for tonight, I'm gonna have to find. I'm gonna find a better place for that sign. It needs to be, to the forefront of everything. So, hey everybody. Just tweaking a little bit here because I'm not used to this like this. So I'm a little surprised of how it goes. How is everybody? Hope everybody's all right. I'm gonna do this. Just gonna do a few little changes here so that everything is like I want. Now I got like multiple windows open. And by doing this, I am able to see everything all right. See how many people are watching. Nice to have everybody here. Of course. I have to sneeze as the show starts because Mr. Paul the cat wanted to have some petting. After all, it's Valentine's Day, even for Paul. Nice to have everybody here. And we are about to start the show. Hey, everybody. Welcome aboard. This is the Shortwave radio show, the show where we talk about radio. And yep, we do talk about radio over here. We have a lot of fun talking about everything, mostly shortwave, medium wave, and long wave, but also, anything radio in general will actually work. Nice to have everyone on board. And we are live twice a week on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. That's 4 p.m. Pacific. That's 0 UTC. And Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. That's 20 hours Universal Time. Here to entertain, listen to the radio, share about radio, talk about radio. And on this Valentine's Day, why not hug our radios and love our radios? So that can make some people jealous, though. But anyways, try to do it without anyone seeing you. And so, 2015, Matt, 2015, 14230. We're gonna check that out. Let's tune 14230 here, and let's start MMSS TV, just in case we hear something, and hopefully we'll have something here. That'd be cool to actually get some slow scan TV. So nice to have everybody here. Yeah, Matt, it happens to me too. It's the only reason I'm fast at knowing it's going to be 2015 is because I know that this show starts at 20 UT. But you probably would have fooled me If it wasn't for the show, you probably would have phoned me for a couple of minutes. We have a nice, beautiful, amazing Facebook group, and that is the most amazing place for anyone that loves radio, because it's the place where basically we share about radio, and when this show ends, well, that's where the fun continues. The Facebook group is almost at 500 members, which is not bad considering that it's what, 2 months old, something like that. So 497 right now. So who knows? Maybe we could reach 500 during the show. We'll promote it a few times. So how do you get there? Well, of course, you need to be on Facebook. But once you're on Facebook, you just go here. And I'm on the wrong. Let me just do something here, because I noticed that I'm on the wrong. I'm on the wrong place. Let me just come back. I'm on Learn Windows and Computers, and not on the not on the proper place. So let me just open a new window here with the proper credentials. That would be much better to be here. So let's go here. And apparently I'm live, according to YouTube, which is good. There we go. And now I'll be with the proper credentials. Here we go. I was on the wrong browser, so I was watching with my tech channel stuff. So here it goes. And here's the Facebook group for everybody to enjoy. Just join in. If you enjoy this show, it's where people continue talking about radio. And there's a lot of sharing, a lot of people that are actually enjoying the hobby. And it's really, really nice to see all the activity there. So it's really, really nice. Share what the radios you use, whatever you're listening to. It's really, really a lot of fun to see everyone having fun, having a great time on what is probably one of the best Facebook group about radio. No, pretending you're better than anyone else. No, idiots that try to, kind of post stuff we don't want to hear or talk about. So nice to have you on that Facebook group, of course. My name is Gilles. I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, northeast part of North America. We, of course, are here, like I said, twice a week. I was going through so yesterday evening, because usually the so yes, in general, the Thursday evening is devoted to YouTube stuff, and I'm always out of the house. And last night, the reunion I had was actually canceled, as the guy that's supposed to be there was not there. So I got a call like late afternoon. Well, we're sorry, we're not gonna be able to do the YouTube stuff this Thursday evening. So I had two choices. One was, well, I call up a few friends and talk about and go out and have a few beers, or do I stay home and do something that I don't do usually? Like I was thinking about do something radio, but not the regular stuff, not the SDR, not what would be fun. So I actually installed myself with my ICOM ICR20, ICR30, and compared them on long wave, medium wave, and also talked about the. I'm hearing somebody talk on 14230 right now. So I had fun with that. I actually also had fun with another thing. I took one of my old tube receivers, an AM tube receiver that I have, Admiral American 5. And for the fun of it, I actually connected with the alligator clips that one of the connectors has to the antenna, because it's not super sensitive. I get, like, when I turn it on, I get the local stations, but I don't get a lot of the skip. I don't get the US stations much. You hear them in the background, but it's like you see that the radio isn't super sensitive. So I plugged the antenna, the Texan AN48X, on it. So basically, it was a lot of fun to tune around. It's interesting because these radios don't react the same way as modern transistor radios. When you actually plug in the these types of antennas, they actually kind of do weird things. Like, I was when I was actually tuning in to the signal to get it stronger, it would actually kind of buzz rather than be a nice stable signal. It was the reaction was kind of weird. You see that something in those radios is not made in the same way. And I mean, the all American 5 tube receivers are the cheapest radios that were made with tubes. It's a design that was made to be the cheapest around. So of course it does give the cheapest performance also. But it was kind of fun. I mean, I enjoyed that, and finally went to bed like at 1 a.m. While tuning around a couple of my tube receivers and having fun. So, it was a nice for a change Thursday where and I did, like something different with radio also at the same time. So there's a beautiful chat room here, by the way, for those that are that want to chat. You can join in. Mark Cope, nice to have you here from Dallas, Texas. Nick Hammond from Romania. Bobby Burgess from Morgan City, Louisiana, USA, WA 5017 5107 SWL. Randy, Riverside, California. Nice to have you here. John W. Nice to have you here. John Wright in East Tennessee. It's sunny here too, but it's minus 15 Celsius. That's about 7 or 8 Fahrenheit. Matt, nice to have you here from Colorado, W0MDK, and it's 12 Celsius, which is much warmer than here. Kevin, nice to have you here. Kevin Jane Apollo, WS2H, and in Point Pleasant Beach, New Jersey. Nice to have you on board, my friend. Commando 602, nice to have you here. Liam Connellan, nice to have you here, Liam. Happy Valentine's Day. Mr. Paul is right there sleeping. Well, half sleeping. He's kind of looking at me, wondering what I'm doing and talking to myself. Matambale from Colorado, nice to have you here. Bullfrog 89, Albany, New York, KD2CXU. Nice to have you here. Yes, going well. And, yep, those studies. Study. One day you're going to be a big man. You're going to roll into millions of dollars thanks to that. Hopefully. Prasad, nice to have you on board. And, drinking tea to keep you awake. It's kind of late there. It's like in the middle of the night. Nice to have you here from India. Zach Arianto, nice to have you here, Zach. PLF Radio, bonjour et bienvenue de la France. C'est toujours un énorme plaisir. Il fait froid à Montréal. J'espère qu'il fait beau en France. The Vaults, nice to have you here from Latvia. For those asking, vodka and 7-Up and orange juice is today's drink. Good afternoon, WOHP 1390, which is call sign W8PRR. Damien Allier, bonjour de la France. C'est toujours un plaisir, Damien. Mitch, nice to have you here from Buckeye, Arizona. René Charbonnier from the Netherlands, nice to have you on board. Rob from Phoenix, Arizona. Trond, nice to have you on board from Norway. And wow, that sounds fantastic. I'll be there in a short while, Matt. Lobster tail, filet mignon, and Oregon Pinot Noir. Wow, your wife is in for a amazing night. Jeff Williams, nice to have you here, my friend from Cornwall in UK. Paul Knight, Salamanca, New York, nice to have you here. Jeff King, nice to have you here from Jacksonville, Florida. Jerry DX, hello, my friend. Brent in Brockville, Ontario, Canada. Larry from sunny Georgia. And don't forget that in a couple of minutes, Matt will be sending Slow Scan TV 14230 upper sideband, and I'm using MMSS TV. Tron VE2029SWL QSL. This is my shortwave call sign. I actually had received this call sign where you can actually ask. It's free. You can go to swarl.org and sign up, and you'll get your own shortwave radio listener call sign. It's a cool thing, and I printed it on photo paper. Makes it kind of really, really cute. Really, really cute. Jerry DX is taking his radio to bed tonight, so he's not going to tell the wife. Okay, better have headphones at least. Make sure that nobody notices. Risto, nice to have you here, my friend, from Stockholm, Sweden. Nice to be back. Nice to have you back, Rock Ristorante. SM0SBT. Dave Freeman from Monroe, New York. Nice to have you on board. I haven't had time too much to play with it, Dave, but I'll try. Tomorrow, Saturday, is the day I'm working on it. I'll be making sure all that works. So possibly tomorrow by the end of the day. Sheldon, nice to have you here from Greenfield Park, Quebec. Pretty cool to have you here. HRGM333, nice to have you here. Where are you from? JD Williamson, nice to have you here. D. Raff, nice to have you from Kingston, New York. Bill Mead, nice to have you on board from Pennsylvania. Yes, this is Shortwave Radio, and I was just before the show started. I was on 14902. I could hear the Air Civil Patrol net on 14902 upper sideband, and now on 14230, just in case I hear something, with Matt sending Slow Scan TV. Keegan, Northwest Arkansas, nice to have you on board. Ehab, nice to have you here from Brussels, Belgium. Pretty cool to have everybody on board. What radio is better? Whoops, lost the well, definitely the XH Data D808, because the D808 has single sideband capability. The Texan PL450 is an amazing radio, great sound and everything, but it's more of an analog style radio with digital display, PLL display. It is great, but it doesn't have single sideband. Tron, Radio Slovakia, 3985. No, I can't hear that frequency here at this time. It's still, the sun is setting in more than 2 hours. I rarely, sometimes maybe in like late December, early January, can hear a little something, but I usually at this time, I'm not going to hear 3985, that's for sure. PLF Radio, why not try your loop antennas on your old tube radios? Yeah, I will try it at some point, for sure. So, but yesterday I wanted to just with the little AN48X and see how it performs. It's kind of interesting. Infinite Horizons, nice to have you here. Jersey Bound, nice to have you on board from New Jersey. Bo Jeffrey, nice to have you on board. Any tips for a city dweller interested in shortwave? So much interference. Yeah. You know what? The best bet if you want to try from inside your home and it's very noisy is to have something like I'm using now, a magnetic loop antenna. And there's one that's not very expensive, the MLA30. That's your best bet from within your home. But unfortunately, there are some people that will have to listen to shortwave in a park or far away from their homes or from the city. It is unfortunately what some of us are dealing with. Here, I'm kind of halfway through that. I still have reception of interesting signals, but it is noisy, and I do miss out on some of the weaker signals that could be interesting to listen to. It is very unfortunate, but that's where we are at now in terms of our listening. Unfortunately, Dave Todd, nice to have you on board from Niagara. And by the way, about the what you could try is have start by having an outdoor antenna and see what you can do. You can start the most basic and cheapest way of having an antenna is a piece of wire outside or hanging from your window. That's a start, and from there you move on to the next steps to see what is possible. Joseph, nice to have you here from Northern California. Ron Hicks, nice to have you on board, KM4LDI, and join the Facebook group and share some of these recent QSL cards. That is cool. That is cool. Let me check here what we have. Okay, so still 497 members. Hope that we'll try to do something about that and be at 500 by the end of the weekend. We're not very far, and by the number of new requests I get every day, I bet we're going to be at 500 plus on Monday morning. So really nice to see everybody participating. That's for sure. Catalin Elm, nice to have you on board. Received is AN48X, and I was able to receive on 40 and 80 meter bands. Today arrived MLA30. I'm connecting it right now. I will connect it to RSP1A with bias T on without provided bias T. So I hope you're going to have fun with that MLA30. You will see that the MLA30 is a lot superior to the AN48X. AN48X, I've used it more on shortwave. What I notice is it suffers, in my case, it suffers from breakthrough of the FM signals. I've noticed that it actually does itself suffer from FM breakthrough of my the strong FM signals here. When I put it in a place where it actually is kind of a little bit immune to it, what I notice is that it's not too bad, but it is really an off and on thing. It doesn't perform well everywhere. There are places where it actually works. There are frequency ranges where it's just does nothing, or even just degrades the signal. There are some signals, and like especially in the higher bands, like 19 meter band, 15 megahertz, it actually is better without the antenna plugged in, the AN40X plugged in, than when it is plugged. So it gives you an idea. It's really, really unequal, and for shortwave and for the price that it's sold, better go directly to an MLA30 than spend on the AN48X. Where the AN48X does shine somewhat, I gotta admit, is long wave, medium wave. But when I say shine, you know what? I'm that the next test that I want to do, and I might try to do it tonight. I'll be comparing my passive AN200 with the AN48X, which is an active loop. You know what? I'm not sure that the active loop is necessarily better than the AN200, but we'll be checking that out. And to be able to find the difference, I need something that has an S meter. So I was thinking of trying medium wave on my good old DX100 shortwave receiver, because it has a ferrite loop inside for medium wave. And I was thinking that so with inductance, it should work. And it also has the antenna connectors And so, I'm going to compare them with inductance, honestly, because if I got to test radios, so the AM200 is an, inductance antenna, I'll probably be using the AN200 and the AN48X with the inductor, also the ferrite that they actually give with it. To be fair, actually, to have the same type of reception. So I don't know. I'm gonna try to do that tonight. Danny, Shortwave, and Radio DX. Nice to have you on board from Yonkers, New York. JDX is gonna make caribou. That's gonna be. Don't drink too much of that. You're gonna be pretty tipsy at the end of the show. 3830 Radio Man. Nice to have you here from California. So I don't know, Matt. I'm 10 minutes behind in the chat, but I haven't heard any SSTV. Keegan is using W9JEF ICOM IC7300 transceiver. His dad in the W6LVP loop. PLF Radio here in France. People are asking, where is winter? The temperatures are closer to spring temperatures. You know what, PLF Radio here? It's cold today, and we had a little cold spell a week or two ago. But honestly, it's not a very big change. So you change to as 233. So 14233 is the change. So Matt, if you want to try again. Skip Davis, nice to have you on board from Oklahoma. So like I said, he have the radio, the XH Data D808 is better than the Texan PL450 because it has more variety of tuning with filters, and it also has single sideband. Danny Shortwave received his BNC connectors from Amazon to modify his second MLA30. Cool. My third MLA30 is still not shipped, and I ordered more than 2 weeks ago, and it's still not shipped. What else do we have? Okay. Yeah, I was hearing a little something on 14230 that people were talking. Vivian Lund, nice to have you here, Vivian from North Carolina. Call sign certificate looks like the world clock. Oh yeah, because of the kind of the border framing. Yeah. Liam, the best indoor active radio antenna. I'd use an MLA30 as an indoor active antenna. It's not very big and probably one of the best you can have indoors. Current's IT guy, nice to have you here. Been recovering from surgery. Hope things are getting better, my friend. Lee Burkett, nice to have you here, my friend. I will collect this radio tomorrow from the Royal Mail offices and start DXing. Cool. Michael Langer, nice to have you on board. Danny Shortwave eventually will do a compare video between the modded MLA30 versus stock. My third MLA30 I'm going to use to experiment a lot on, honestly. Stephen Hayes, nice to have you on board. Steve from the UK. Ikadarius, nice to have you on board. His dad's got a select antenna working again. The knob was off, and he put it back on. Catalin as 6607, Israeli Defense Force beacon, was able to receive it from a hill in Transylvania when he was back home from Germany. No chance till now. Let me just check it out here. It's a little, 6607. I usually get it. It's too early for it now. But I usually get it almost every night. Actually, I think I'm hearing it very, very weak. Very weak. Keegan has 7850 CHU. Matt Lieberkit says his Stixon PL 606 arrived from eBay. Woohoo! Brian Penny, nice to have you here from Cape Cod, Massachusetts. What else do we have? I think I'm hearing a little bit of splatter from Gander Radio 6604. I'm hearing Gander, Newfoundland weather 6604. Kimberly, K6YYL, nice to have you on board. Happy Valentine's Day. Al Mesa, Radio Free Asia 9455. Nice to have you here. 9455 here is, I believe, WRMI. Yeah. Are you getting some music, Al Mesa? Because 9455 here is definitely WRMI in Okeechobee, Florida, with some music right now. Commando 602 AMDX has been amazing last few weeks. From here in Arizona, I cut Hawaii, Oregon, and Washington. Wow, that is good. Getting Hawaii, especially Hawaii. Wow, pretty amazing. Really nice. No, I got nothing, Matt. Not even a peep of a signal here. Propagation, probably. Jerry says, heard there are delays with getting the MLA30 from China right now due to the coronavirus. Yeah, some of them, but not everybody. I've noticed that some people are getting their stuff. I think it depends on what part of China your stuff is coming from. So Matt is going to try again at 2030. Let's see if anybody gets anything. Jeff Barrett, nice to have you here, watching from his new radio room office. Wife is in here with me watching her on our iPad. Our daughter's boyfriend is visiting for Valentine's Day. Well, nice to have you on board, my friends. Bob T, nice to have you here, Bob. In Northeast Ohio. Yeah, it's pretty cold here, too. Kathy Atkins, nice to have you here. PLF radio, yeah, that also is a possibility. Using like the because with the XH data D808 and signal to noise ratio, that would be another way of testing it out. There's something that I like about having a visual on an S meter, though. I don't know. It's kind of a more, because you can't, there's only a few receivers that I can really test that accurately. Either the ones that I have that have the signal to noise ratio signal on the display, or a radio that has an S meter, an analog S meter. Because every radio that has these bar graph of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these things are so inaccurate. They're like, look at the Texan receivers that have the bar graph. I mean, the bar graph is maxed out and the signal isn't even maxed. You still hear noise. So it's like they're not, the accuracy of these signal indicators is no good. So I need really something. So that could be another test. Yeah. I could check it out with the XH data, the 808. Absolutely. Kevin Janapalo says my MLA30 was not allowed to ship to me because of the coronavirus. Customs says maybe the end of Chinese New Year. Not sure when that is. Yeah, I guess a lot of stuff will have a lot of delays. A lot of delays. And I was reading an article on I think it was Business Insider. They were talking about how the economy of China is going to suffer a really big hit because of everything is like crawling to a halt, and people just like stay home and don't want to go to work. They're afraid of getting the virus. Charity X, Emily 30 works great near a window. Yeah, if it's not too noisy, it shouldn't be too bad, actually. So, cool space. Nice to have you on board from the Gulf Coast. Hey, Kadarius. Yeah, the coronavirus outbreak, anything that we actually order that comes from China is going to be delayed. And if you ordered something, I think we're gonna have to be real patient before we get it. G. Lee, nice to have you on board from Fresno, California. Question: can anybody in the West Coast hear any pirate radio stations? Yeah, I know that a lot of the pirates are concentrated in the east, of North America, but there are some that are in the West Coast also. But remember that pirates, and there was a question yesterday. I saw a question. Somebody was saying, is there an accurate place where I can get schedules of pirates? Remember, pirates are illegal, so they're not going to advertise in advance, when they're going to transmit, because it's like I'm giving away half of what's going on. So they will actually appear at any given time. Your best bet for anything that is pirate, if you want to know when a pirate station is on the air, is the HF Underground website. I'm going to share it here. The HF Underground website is the best to know when some pirates are on the air. I was looking a little just before the show. I'm looking now. There's nothing on the air, or nothing has actually popped up that anybody was actually shown. So hfunderground.com is the best place for. Whoops, I did something here. So HF Underground is the best place to get that information. But yes, there are people in the West Coast that do hear, but I suspect there's a lot more activity in the mid, like in the East Coast than the West Coast on pirates. Of course, in Europe, there's tons of pirates. BLF Radio says, I heard in the news they measured the temperature just above 20 Celsius somewhere in Antarctica. Yeah, they actually, there's in the past couple of weeks, there's been a flurry of really high temperatures that we don't usually see in Antarctica, and it's kind of scaring a little bit the science, all the scientific community, because that's also an indication that, hey, maybe our planet is warming a lot faster than we thought. So I'll make some. Oops, I'm trying to get back to where I was. So Almesam says, yes, music, I'm guessing the schedule I have is out of date. Go to eibispace.de, Almesam. It's the best place to go. There it's up to date, and it's pretty much, it's probably saying that it's WRMI. Sidvik, nice to have you here from Gander, Newfoundland. I was just listening to the weather on 6604 from Gander just a few minutes ago. Cool Space has 9455 music. Cool. Maybe you could try Matt. So it's what, 2030? You are, yeah, because 20 meters is probably the best for you. But I don't know. You know what I would try, Matt? Just out of curiosity. Like, if you can, how about that 21 UT? 21 UT, try SSTV on 40 meters. just out of curiosity. I know that you're west from me, so there's still a lot of sunshine, but who knows? Maybe 40 meters would make it. What's the 40-meter SSTV frequency? I know the one on 20 meters because it's almost always there, but what's the 40-meter SSTV frequency? Yeah, WRMI Al Mesam has been playing a lot of music from the early days and from from the good old days of rock and roll and even some more modern stuff. René Charbonnier says, "I can't take it anymore. I bought an MLA 30." It's bound to happen. This is like this is like the channel where we talk about the same thing all the time. That you know, buy that antenna, get that antenna, better buy that antenna. That's the antenna you should have, and you just buy it. It's also priced at a point where like a lot of us are like, I can afford that. PLF Radio just shared the solar flux at 70. That's okay. It's down, but it's okay. K1, that's good. That's really good. What else do we have? Jim, nice to have you here from Rhode Island. Bill Mead, speaking of Gander, now that New York Radio has abandoned its vomit slots, I wish Gander would transmit around the clock like Shannon does. Yeah, I kind of wonder how useful these stations are still. If New York abandoned, it means that was there a need? Did somebody, did any aero companies or did any flights miss that information? I don't think so. I think there's so many other ways that they get weather and all of that information today. So I don't know. Is there a need for the number of times that I actually heard Gander radio saying, no reports received, no reports received. Yeah, you kind of wonder sometimes, is it really useful to still have that? I mean, I want it to continue because it's a signal and it's something that you can hear, but maybe it's not needed anymore. So yeah, I know Skip Davis. That's what I think too. Because when I ordered mine first, my MLA 30 came from Mississauga, Ontario, Canada. It had a Ontario stamp on it, or postage stamp, and it was like, what? I ordered from the guy in China, but it comes from Mississauga, Ontario. So I don't know. Kathleen, the S meter from SDR news is not accurate or accurate enough. Oh, it's because yeah, it's well the so the the test I want to do is like easier to do on a portable because it's I'm going to be using induction, so it's not. I can't use I can't use the SDR for that. Also, I don't think you can use S meter to compare different radios. It's not different radios I'm testing. It's the same radio. It's just comparing two antennas that do the same thing on the same radio with the S meter. That will work. Because I mean, I'm using one radio and comparing two antennas on the same radio. That's okay. But every radio that I've seen is like calibrated differently. It's like there seems to be a very, very difficult task to have very accurate signal readings. Vince Perrault, hey, back from Taiwan. Nice to have you back, Vince. Hope everything went well. Like Sid Vic says, you can send a request to Gander Radio. And why not ask for a QSL? I think the QSL. Yeah, Matambali, only the very expensive radios are calibrated well, basically. Even I noticed one thing: the RSP1A and the RSPDX. The reading in SDR Uno's S meter and signal to noise ratio are different. RSPDX seems to be more accurate, even though accuracy is, I don't have I would need to have, a signal generator that I know that, okay, this is supposed to be S9 and test it out, Probably the most accurate S meter that I have here is, I would guess, and even there, I'm not even sure it would be, my ICOM ICR 500. I would guess that S meter is the most accurate one of all the radios that I got. But even that, I wouldn't, I wouldn't put my hand in the fire for that, Can tell you that. Commando 602, the only pirate radio that he knows is Alex Jones. What do you want about Alex Jones? I want to have my tinfoil hat. Oh, man. Tony Turtle, nice to have you here. Jerry says, I'm sure there are pirates on the West Coast. You just have to tune around. There are some, but there are definitely a concentration of pirates more on the East Coast than on the West Coast. That is a known fact, actually. It's not just a hunch or a suggestion. We kind of know for a fact that a lot of them are on the East Coast, but it's for sure. I'm sure there are some on the West Coast. What else do we have? Yes, Joseph, absolutely. HF Underground is really, really nice. It's an amazing place. Actually, I got an invite. Chris Smolinski, that actually operates HF Underground, has started a Facebook group now. So I'm trying to. I'm guessing that maybe he wants to kind of transition and see where he should be. So there's some stuff that I noticed that's posted on the Facebook group that sometimes takes a little more time to show up in HF Underground. But if you look for the HF Underground Facebook group, because I got an invite 3 weeks ago from Chris Smolinski saying, hey, you should, join us on the Facebook group, which I did because I like to listen to pirates. That's for sure. Hunter Carver, nice to have you on board. Matambale, listening to the propagation beacons that are on 14100. I haven't listened to that in a long time. Let me go to 14100 and put myself in CW mode and see which one I hear or not. So, Jerry DX, no, actually, the Arctic and Antarctic are actually losing a lot of ice. They are there are parts. It's like here the Arctic here, because if you really want to know what's happening with the Arctic, I have a website that I go to, which is the Arctic News, Ice News. It's Arctic Ice News, and they actually have accurate measures daily of the ice and everything. We are right now at one of the lowest years. So we're like, it's not the lowest, but we're close to being at the lowest ice extent in years. And it's been going downhill for the past 10 years. Almost every year after year, is almost beating the record of the lowest amount of ice. And the ice growth is, even though it's pretty much normal. It just can't catch up with the amount of ice that is actually lost every summer. So every summer the ice really melts a lot. The problem when you actually melt ice is that open water absorbs the solar energy, and because ice or snow is white, it reflects back a lot of solar energy. But once it's become water, water is darker. It actually absorbs more solar energy. So every year, the ocean takes more time to actually recreate the same ice because the water is warmer than the year before by a very small amount, but enough to delay that ice growth. And also, what happens there is that it delays the ice growth, but also the growth means that when winter is over, the thickness of the ice is not as thick as in the past years. So it's going to melt even faster once the weather starts getting warmer. So it's crazy. It's I follow this every month. I've been following this for like at least 10 years. If I look at the graph, I'm just curious. I'm going to look at the graph now. Google Arctic ice news. So if I look at the graph right now of the data, so the curve of ice has brought us back into almost what is kind of one of the lower normal range, but compared to what is the normal of the last 30, 40 years, we are we are really down. And so that's pretty much what's happening. It's it's growing, but it's really far from what it was 30 years or 40 years ago. And it's interesting to follow. It's something I find interesting. I'm a weird guy, so I follow these weird sites that show these data and stuff. But it's interesting to follow because it gives me an idea of look where we are at and what's happening with our planet. It's kind of nice. Catalan 6941, upcoming number lady. Cool space. Does Mr. Paul chew on your wire antennas? My orange cat Briggs has destroyed 3 of mine. Oh, really? No, he doesn't chew on anything. Anything. My cat is the perfect cat. Doesn't chew on anything. Even the Christmas tree. Everybody says every year he's going to climb in a tree. He never climbed in the Christmas tree. He looks at it. The only thing that's going to happen, because I do a village at the bottom of the Christmas tree, he's going to go in the village, destroy part of the village, but isn't too bad. Matt says the problem with 40 meters preferred SSTV is 7171, but that's an extra class territory. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Okay. John W. says, John Wright says station 14230 is 6W1/EA8 ATI working stateside. Kevin has Radio Havana, Cuba in English. Let's check it out here. 15140. Oops. Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Radio Havana, Cuba. Let me try something here. Nope. I've actually plugged the W6LVP loop on my RSPDX, so I can switch between both antennas. It's much better than the MLA30, I can tell you that. Liam says, how much is the MLA30? MLA30 is the one I bought from my seller is $44 shipping included. Matt says Gander was like that for months. Lately, seems coming back, transmitting useful information. I've seen reports that New York Volmet is coming back, but so far it hasn't happened. There was a report on one of the Volmet web pages But apparently, New York Vomit is not coming back. So, yeah, Tony Turtle, it is sunny, but very cool. It's minus 14 Celsius now. Mickey Delmage, nice to have you on board. Just received a QSL from a shortwave report to VP6R Pitcairn Island. Cool. Jerry, that's it. I got it from the Chinatown of Toronto. Oh, man. Jean Margletz, nice to have you on board from Strasbourg en France with mostly 0 to 3 Celsius, nights, 8, 12 days. And Arctic winter like Finland, exceptional, snowless versus Antarctica. Yeah, crazy. Skip Davis purchases Emily 30 Street from New Jersey off of eBay, and they had them in LA, so also in Kentucky. I'd be curious to know how many MLA 30s total has been sold around the world. I'd be curious to know that. Joe Rotman, nice to have you on board from sunny, cold Chicago. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Yeah, Antarctica summer period with 20 Celsius, which is something rarely or never seen. Lauren Clenhans, nice to have you here with the ICOM 718. Philip Radio, what do you think about the accuracy of the S meter of an SDR Uno? It's difficult to assess because I would need to have. I really need to have a signal generator that I could accurately know how much of a signal I'm actually sending out. I on the RSP1A, the S meter for me seemed to be underestimated. Signals were stronger than what the S meter was actually showing. On the RSPDX, I have the impression that the S meter seems to be closer to reality of the signals that I listen to. But I would really need to have a signal generator to really accurately know, is it or not accurate? Rekray, nice to have you here from Turkey. Vape King, what's budget in your language? $30, $50, $80, $100? It depends on what you mean. If you're talking about, let's say $50, Raddy Wow R108 is pretty decent. If you're talking $100, XH Data D808. And if you're talking really cheap, I would probably go for the for a $20 radio or something like that. It's analog, but it's hard to beat for the price. Texan R9012 is an analog radio that is amazingly decent. I don't know what they did with it, but for the price paid, it's just that it's analog. No, it's not very accurate. Has only the standard shortwave bands and so on. It depends what budget means, for sure. Undercover, where do I find a kit to hook the MLA30 loop to a 3.5 millimeter jack? So it's a PLF radio, and several of you in the chat room have actually bought the devices, the adapters. So basically, what they purchased was an SMA female to like a BNC connector and a BNC female to 3.5 millimeter or something. Most of you that actually use it have two adapters plugged in together to adapt to the 3.5 millimeter jack. What I have done personally is I simply purchased a SMA, an SMA connector with the cable on it I clipped the cable and actually adapted it to a good quality audio cable that is shielded, and made my own, you know, wire, if you want, my own cable. So what's the just remind me, guys, let's help Hunter Carver here. What are the adapters that you guys have been using? And if you want to share the link of where you purchased them, please do, so that he can actually hook it up properly to his receivers. I'm 15 minutes behind, guys, and I'm going to try to get a little faster here. So the first time, Ron Hicks says, first time I heard Alex Jones was on Shortwave. Jerry says, Alex Jones making a killing on his food buckets due to the coronavirus. I know, fear sells. That's for sure. That's why these guys are always tapping on, the world is coming to an end thing. Almesa es Radio Exterior de España, 9690. Matt says, I'm in Colorado. I'd hear a lot more pirate radio if there was a decent number of Western pirates. Yeah. Almesa, when I lived in Colorado, never heard of pirate. Joseph says, my guess is that not all pirate listeners will want to use Facebook. Listeners, a listener to a pirate station, you got nothing to worry about. A listener is a listener. You're allowed to listen to whatever is on the radio. I would guess, I wanted to make a call once, and so I won't tell you who, but I know that there's one pirate that's actually in our 500 or close to 500 members on the Facebook group. Well, we'll keep that. Don't ask me. I won't tell you who's. It's a secret. But I wanted to send a call, and you know what? Maybe I should right here. If you're a pirate, because I know there's a certain number of pirates that watch the show and the live streams, and I do have a few pirates that sometimes contact me and say, "Hey, why not join the Facebook group as a regular, user? You don't have to say you're a pirate, and use that to, just say, hey, there's a pirate here. Look at that." And then nobody will know it's you. Just, just post, well, I'm hearing a pirate on that frequency right now. And that's it. Man, there are ways to promote stuff. And HF Underground is, I suspect a lot of, because HF Underground, there's a lot of pirates that actually look at HF Underground to see who is, I suspect a lot of, because HF Underground, there's a lot of pirates that actually look at HF Underground to see who is. You post there, if you leave an email, you get an EQSL. A lot of pirates do that today. A lot of pirates actually mention names of people they see in HF Underground listening to their broadcasts. So, but of course, pirates don't want you to know. You got to earn trust. I remember when when I moved there 20 years ago, I actually I was listening a lot to pirates, and there were a few Euro pirates that I enjoyed listening to, and we got a sense of trust. And if you guys remember, in the year 2000 or so, we were all using, MSN Messenger to chat. It's like, Facebook was not that thing again still. We were all using the MSN Messenger thing and adding each other there. And I had actually a dozen Euro pirates in the chat. And we would actually, they would contact me and say, hey, I'm about to flip the switch and I'll be on 15070. in 5 minutes if you want to, I'd like to know if you hear us. And I would, look back. And we even had video chats back then on my first webcam, I remember. And there's a lot of contacts. I was close to a lot of the Euro pirates, and it was kind of cool. You feel like you're part of an exclusive club because they gave you the trust. You're trustable. You know, you're not gonna say to the whatever that who we are, where we are, and whatever. We trust you after a certain time, and it felt kind of cool. Honestly, how cool can it be that you're part of a pirate community and they trust you as a listener that is gonna just be there and say, "Hey, yeah, I'm hearing you guys." And we were having, video conferences back in early 2000, and we would, I would show them. It's like, here, this is how I'm listening to you on. Back then was my Kenwood. Sorry. So I was showing them, look, on my Kenwood R5000, this is how I'm listening to you. This is the strength of your signal. And they found it cool because they had a real live, look into how I'm receiving their stations. It was a lot of fun. I miss that. I'd like to have a pirate community again. Cyberflyer 1, nice to have you on board. Mountain Ballet is hearing Ale on 14109. Matt says, I believe KIPM was a Western Pirate too, but wasn't listening to shortwave when the station was active. Dave Freeman, well, your ICOM and 500 receive AM stations from Plattsburgh and Burlington with the loop. Not with the loop that I have, because it will be hooked to the W6LVP and it filters out medium wave. But what I plan to do is that when I'm not using any radios, I will switch to the MLA30. So if you try sometimes and it doesn't work, try at other times. It might. I'll switch between the MLA30 and W6LVP depending on what I'm doing. Have a great weekend, René Charbonnier. And I have to go to a boring birthday now. Oh, man. I totally understand what you're talking about. I try to have the best of fun, Dave Todd says a lot of melting due to darkening of the ice caps and hash from wildfires. There's a lot of stuff, absolutely. Well, it's not full of BS, Jerry. There's more ice this year than last year, so maybe that's what they wanted to say. Because when I look at the Arctic ice news curve, there's more ice this year right now than last year. So maybe that's what they wanted to say. But compared to 30 years ago, we are at the bottom end. Leonard Nigel Lawrence, nice to have you on board. Good evening. This weekend storm, Dennis, all across UK. I have a pint of local real ale. Cool. Hope that the storm didn't cause too much problems, because I did see that. I was actually reading. We got a lot of people from Brazil here, and I was yesterday. I was seeing a report on TV about flooding in Brazil. Apparently, there's a lot of flooding going on. So Tony Turtle, yeah, methane, all sorts of things. And warming water also has less capability of absorbing carbon dioxide and stuff like that. One of the things that I was telling a friend that he didn't think about is everybody knows that when you warm up something, it expands. And one of my friends says one day, did the ice cap melt to the point where there's a lot more water? I said, there are two things that are making more water. It's like, one is, yes, there's more water because there are some ice melting. But don't forget, if you actually raise the ocean's temperature, that liquid is expanding. It's hotter. It's expanding. It takes more space. So just the warming, even if there would be no ice melting, just the warming of the ocean expands the ocean. That's physics. Brian Penny says, Monsieur Paul le chat est adorable, le plus parfait. Actually, I like the translation. It's not bad, actually. Here, just for you, Brian, because you talked about Paul. So everybody, here's how cute Paul is right now. So that is how cute Paul is sleeping. So I'm going to leave it there for a little while I continue in the chat room. Samuel Peterson, nice to have you here. No problem. I find it funny when people say, sorry, I'm late. It's okay. You're late. That's all. Laird Nigel Lawrence bought his MLA 30 loop for £30 delivered to UK. Cool. £30 is like roughly what I paid US, 44 US. Tubruk Tim and says, SDR still have poor performance. Absolutely not compared to my other radios here. My RSP1A and my RSPDX have as good performance, if not better, than my ICOM, which is a $2,000 radio. It's pretty crazy. I think it's all in the way that it's hooked up, and that's where it all goes through. But the SDR Play devices are amazing, and they are as good. And if you go online to the SDRs, the Kiwi SDRs, you will see that a lot of them have actually much better performance than anything that you actually have plugged in. It's really a question of what SDR you have and how it's connected, honestly, to Brookton. Paul O'Connor, nice to have you here. Are you a shortwave listener? Do you do QSL cards? If you do, can you explain how you do this as a shortwave listener? You mean receive QSL cards from stations? Damien Allier says, many MLAs since you use it. Oh, man. Oleg, nice to have you here, Oleg. Bob T, I have my MLA 30 connected to my RSP1A SDR. How could I connect my Texan PL680 to it? Alligator clips. You know what? You could so you could use adapters. Once again, there are adapters, so you can check out how to have adapters from because the MLA comes with an SMA male connector. So you would need an SMA female connector to some other connector, because unfortunately there's no direct maybe if you want to make a fortune, guys, start building SMA female to 3.5 millimeter adapters and sell those. You're gonna make a fortune. Well, maybe not a fortune because it's a very niche and unique thing, but you can make one. So you could use adapters and have 3.5 millimeter. Like I said, I made my own cable. I purchased. I took a coax cable that has an SMA connector on it, SMA female connector, and I actually clipped it and put my own audio cable. Technically, you could use a alligator clip the center pin and clip it to the antenna of the PL680. Problem is the MLA 30 doesn't react well if the shield isn't connected or grounded to something. It's noisier. Levi Nathan, nice to have you here from Israel. So you got to use two adapters. There's no SMA to 3.5. You have to use an SMA to whatever and whatever to 3.5. plug them together, and that gives you an adapter. And ERC, nice to have you on board. Been working away Monday to Friday. So nice to have you on board, Andy. Shelly, nice to have you here from Pennsylvania. Catalin says, amazed about the MLA30. I can't imagine that what will bring removing the long coax and replacing it with a short RG316. Yeah, it depends on how noisy it is, honestly. So PLF Radio is sharing what he's actually using. So he uses that from eBay. So thanks for sharing PLF Radio. NDRC says Storm Dennis expected all over the UK over the weekend. You guys have been hit last week by another one. So you guys are getting more and more. Many shortwave radio says I already have an SO39 to 2.5 millimeter cable. Just had to buy a SMA to SO39 adapter. So, you know. Cool, Andy. Oh, yeah, before MSN Messenger. Of course. My first chat was ICQ. A lot of us were ICQ. MDK2 says when Wolverine Radio does his live New Year's Eve show as Drunken DJ, he sends slow scan TVs naming regular HF Underground listeners. Cool. That's cool. You know, seeing your name, you know. Esteban. Nice to have you here, Esteban. Pretty cool. Hint, hint. Rayan, the idiot, is a guy from Northern Ireland. Aha. And I know for sure. Matt says every indication from the FCC is that they're far more concerned from FM pirates. Yeah, because FM pirates are a lot more problematic, and commercial stations are complaining. Plus, there's possibility that you will be interfering with airband and stuff like that. You know. So, have you guys seen enough of Mr. Paul? Let's put the camera back on me now. I'm the guy doing the show, not Paul. Here we are back to what is the live show. Something's weird here. Just need to check it out properly. Here we go. Like this. There we go. And we are continuing the live show. Okay, and we are back. You just missed Mr. Paul. No, of course, I had to turn the camera for Mr. Paul to wake up and just like, you know, stretch his paws and all. But, oh well. Liam doesn't like rigs that have no keypad. You know, we all have our way of you know what we like and don't like. I like SDRs for the visual aspect, but I gotta say, there's something about, you know, tuning, like on the ICOM, tuning with the tuning knob. There's something interesting and fun of that also. Catalan says, isn't the signal level on the radio SDR depending on the gain of the antenna? In other words, if you have telescopic antenna fully extended or not. Well, what happens, Catalan, is that, of course, depending on the antenna you use, the signal level will be different. Using a telescopic, if you have your telescopic halfway open, if you have a loop, if you have an outdoor wire, the level isn't the same. Yes. But the S meter has a calibration. When a signal is of a certain strength, it should show a certain level, whatever antenna you're using. So that's more what I'm talking about. The fact that that level needs to be calibrated so that when you hit a certain amount of microvolts in the antenna input, you are at certain level on the S meter. Tom the Xer, nice to have you on board from the lower Hudson Valley, New York. Pretty cool. PLF Radio says the solution I showed you there is only one connector from the MLA30 to the portable radio, but I understand. So, yeah. Damien Allier, XH data or PL660? It's a hard one, but I would go for the XH data. Personally. Yeah, actually, it's the only Tony Turtle water is the only, I believe, is the only material we have, the only molecule that actually expands when it reaches 4 Celsius. So it expands when it's hot, but it expands, and that's why ice breaks stuff, because at 4 Celsius water and lower, the water expands also. It's a very unique thing about water. It's, I think, the only thing we have that does that. Keegan has 11635 HM01. Do I hear 11635? Oh, yeah, it's pretty good. Quite strong, too. Everybody laughed when I posted yesterday in the Facebook group. We have the Cuban number lady celebrating World Radio Day with numbers. I thought it was funny. I was looking at the signal and I was like, "Oh man, you know what? That's too funny. I gotta post it like that." It's just like, the Cuban number lady. Man. No creature understands comfort like a cat. Yep, pretty much. Catalan has stereo version, mobile and laptop. Yeah, catnap. Monty says a nice warm seat when he leaves as well. Yep. Brian, yes, Mr. Paul did get my sweater again. He actually alternates between, I'm a sucker for Paul. I mean, he looks at me meow meow meow, and he looks at the chair, and I'm like, yeah, you want to have my sweater now? So I just take off my sweater, and he smells it, and because maybe there's my odor on it, and because I wore it, it's warm, and then he's gonna sleep on it for a couple of weeks, and then he's gonna say like, oh yeah, I got enough now. So I alternate between my YouTube shirt and my sweater. I know, I shouldn't do that. Oh man. Robert Mallory, nice to have you here. AirSpy HF Plus Discovery is awesome. Receive is the best of any HF transceiver I owned. Okay, interesting. I've heard a lot of good things. Maybe I need to check it out. Catalan, number stations are now in CW mode. Some of them are. There's CW mode. Some are in some kind of digital mode, like polytone modes. The XBA2 ones are like that. Some like HM01. HM means hybrid mode 01. Hybrid mode because there's voice from the Cuban lady, plus there's a digital signal with it. So there's really a lot of different modes for number stations, Catalan. Paul O'Connor, yes. Do you get physical cards from stations? Yeah, for the most part, most stations still do send actually physical cards. Like, I was scanning my good old cards. I am scanning my old collection. So you can get like physical cards like these. These are from HCJB in Quito, Ecuador. But So most stations still do, but there are some stations that do have, and I will guess that more and more will do that, send out EQSLs because they are much less expensive. They just have to send a picture in your email. I mean, postage costs a fortune today. And so if they can do that, a lot more stations will do it in the future, I would guess. But still, there's a lot of stations that still send you a physical card in the post. Glenn Zeckman, nice to have you on board from Tennessee. Don Stefano, nice to have you here from Frankfurt, Germany. Joseph loves this ball tube. So, Tuberog Tim, get an SDR Play RSP1A. I tell you, best for the price. There's nothing better for the price paid than the RSP1A. Lee Burkett says Storm Demis is about to hit the UK. Yeah, I saw that the other day. Man, get your scanners ready and tune the bands. There must be a lot of activity. Keegan has 11720 Scandinavian Weekend Radio. I think you're having, I don't want to spoil it to you, Keegan. Well, 11720 is Voice of America. It is Voice of America, unfortunately, Keegan. Scandinavian Weekend Radio is very weak, and I haven't seen anybody hearing it here in North America, really, most of the time. And I don't think it's the weekend they're broadcasting, actually. Scandinavian Weekend Radio is the first, aren't they the first weekend or the first Saturday of the month or something? It's the only once a month. So sorry to break your fun there, Keegan, but it's the Voice of America that you're listening to on 11720. They've been packing a really good signal, and yeah, first Saturday, first Friday of the month. So it's Voice of America you're listening to from Greenville, North Carolina, 21 to 22 UTC, my friend. Matt says Paul's ear twitched. Picture is still live. Liam, the MLA30, I don't remember the size exactly. I never remember the size every time we talk about it. But it's smaller than a hula hoop, and it's a very thin metal wire, so it doesn't take a lot of space, honestly. It's actually difficult to spot. When I come home here, I have the W6 LVP loop, which is a big loop, and the which is more of a hula hoop type size. And I got the MLA30. Honestly, if I'd remove the W6 LVP loop, I'm not sure anybody would notice I've got an antenna on the balcony. It's not that easy to spot. Edwin Tallman, nice to have you here from Kansas City, Missouri. Cool. I'm using Chrome, Bobby Burgess. Dana F, we want Paul. Problem is, noise is such a big problem for us now. Let's check it out. Do I hear BBC 11810? Oh, it's pretty good. BBC from Ascension Island, South Atlantic, 11810 is pretty good in English. One of the best. One thing for sure, to broke Tim, about the noise is that, so first of all, two things about noise and SDRs. Because obviously bringing a computer to your listening habit is bringing noise to your listening habit. That is something that for a lot of listening is true. Now, if I compare, so if I compare this, so this is the RTL SDR V3, the original one, not the fake one that some sell. It's the real one that comes from the website, the RTL SDR V3, and it has coverage on shortwave and, of course, VHF, UHF. This is a noise problem. When I connect this has so much more noise than the RSP1A just from the start. So already this is a problem. A lot of the cables I use from USB have chokes on them, ferrite chokes on them. You can buy them. These actually lower the noise. But one of the things that I noticed immediately when using the SDR Play is that SDR Play devices are less noisy than any other SDR I had used before. So from the start. Now, there's one thing that you got to know is that, yes, you might have a very noisy computer, and that is possible. And it's something that is, you got to check, you got to make sure that the power supply, maybe the power supply from your laptop is noisy. Make sure that you have the original manufacturer power supply, not a cheap, generic power supply. These are so noisy that it's crazy. If I would use a generic power supply on my RSP1A or my RSPDX, I would have tons of noise show up on the display here. So it might be, for sure, one of the things that might be is that maybe the computer you're using with its power supply is extremely noisy. Icadarius says, Paul looks so peaceful. He is. Joseph says, I have to say that the waterfall on SDRs doesn't always capture signal. Sometimes I'll click somewhere that looks like it has no signal and I still hear something. What SDR are you using? Because there are, you got to be careful of one thing, Joseph. You got to play with the settings for the colors of the SDR and the contrast. It's very important. If you want to see the signals, you got to play with the contrast. And you got to play with it, because I play with it all the time to add or change the contrast and the visibility. It helps a lot. In very, very weak signals, it might be difficult to distinguish the signal from the noise on the waterfall. That's for sure. But play around with the settings for the contrast on the software. It will greatly improve. And I would say that I don't think I miss out on much, because even a very weak signal on my display, when I look, I can actually see something appearing. So play with contrast, colors. Make sure that you make the perfect mix. If you put that contrast in a certain way, sometimes, yes, you might miss out on signals that aren't showing up. So, absolutely. I mean, even in the perfect way, there could be signals you might be missing out. But I would say from using SDRs now a lot, the other way around is more what happens than missing out on a signal because I'm not tuning around. But it's possible. Robert Mallory, yep, 50 microvolts signal is S9. Anybody having hiccups? But Liam, the for indoor use, the MLA30 is a nice little size. It's you know it's about, I don't know, this big. It's like, it isn't that big actually. Joe Rodman has BBC 11810 S9 S9 plus 20 in Chicago. Drake TR7 multi-band vertical. Matt says that does the XH Data 808 have separate upper lower sideband? Yes, it's a separate upper and lower sideband, and it has like 5 or 6 bandwidths, so you can use, like 4 kilohertz, 3 kilohertz, 2 kilohertz, 2.2 kilohertz, 1.8 kilohertz, 1 kilohertz, even 500 hertz in its different settings, which is really, really nice. For that, it's superior than the PL600 or so. Learn Nigel Lawrence. Are still number stations on the HF? Absolutely, and there's a lot of them too. And for number stations, the best website is the Preom website. PRI. I'm gonna share it with everybody here. Preom.org. For number stations, this is unbeatable for knowing when some will be on the air and having audio clips and so much information about them. So, Danny Shortwave on both XH Data D808, Texan PL660. XH Data D808 is better radio, especially on medium wave and long wave. I know that the D808's ferrite is longer than the ones in regular radios in general. Kevin Wood, nice to have you here from Nova Scotia. Yeah, there's HM01, HM02. There's a few. There's kind of a mix. Danny Shortwave Radio DX. Yeah, it's new. It's we now, when we buy stamps, you have the choice of a stamp with an amount on it, and one that doesn't. It's like it's just a stamp, and these are like you use them whenever you want to use them. Biggie Bigs 13, nice to have you here. What do you think about the Icom ICR6? I mean, they're okay, but like all, it's like more like those little handheld radios, Kathleen, last year under your recommendations, I bought an RSP1A, and now a year later, the MLA30. Thank you, Jill. I'm happy to own them. Cool. That's what That's what I'm here for. Would be fun if Jill would talk about IRCs. These expensive things for posts. Man, Pilafredo says MLA30 is about 60 centimeter diameter. So, it's a thin wire, so it's not very big and cumbersome or anything. And you could actually hook it up on a broomstick or something. Really works. Tom DXer began DXing in 1965, 70, and then again from 84 to 90. Just getting back into it with the Sony ICF 2010. Unbelievable, all things have changed. Absolutely. Hey, Jaw, nice to have you here. Happy Friday. Here, I've never used an antenna tuner, but, you probably do get a little more signal from an antenna tuner. Andy Coley, nice to have you here. Keegan, 11720, Voice of America. Matambali, strong carry on 11635. What else do we have? Jerry says, do you still use the Soft 66? When you hook it up and you look at how the noise that it brings in, you're like, yeah, I'm not interested in anymore. It's there on my shelf doing pretty much nothing. No problem, Keegan. We all make these mistakes and we all look at the schedule and say, oh, maybe this is whatever station that is. And then we look at it's like, oh, it's not that. So sad. Kathleen, what about ferrite rings on a coax? They should technically be lowering the noise level a little bit, for sure. I'm a little bit out of focus. I look fine here. I don't know. Let me just look at it here. Looks fine here. Make sure you're at least 720p on the feed. Sometimes the YouTube changes the feed's quality. David Martin, nice to have you here. Says also the RTL as the RV3 doesn't have the pre-selection filters of the RSP1A. No, absolutely not. Nice to have you here, David, from Dallas, Texas. I mean, on VHF, UHF, okay. It's okay. But honestly, this is very crappy on HF. And if you're to spend money on this, you better move directly to an RSP1A. This, unfortunately, doesn't cut it. Not for me, that's for sure. Yeah, Joseph, do check it out. The contrast settings, the colors also, because you can change the colors, the contrast settings, all of that together will help you make those weaker signals easier to see, It fixed itself. Matt says, in my experience, ferrets on coax doesn't do much, but I don't seem to have much trouble with common mode RFI. The RFI seems to hit the antennas, and that's the trouble. Yeah, pretty much here the same thing. As the antenna is receiving the RFI directly. And when Tova's tuning shortwave with his Collins R390A. Cool. I think, Matt, if you are looking for a portable, the XH Data D808 is hard to beat. I mean, I've got like this reflex now. When I actually reach for a radio, I reach for my XH Data kind of naturally. It's like, well, I want to have performance and know if I can hear something. XH Data. The only, if it wasn't from the little chugging when you actually use the tuning knob, it would be perfect. I have stripes of sun on my face. Commando 602, 4 hours behind. Johnny DXer, nice to have you here from oops. Let me just try to get back here where I was. Okay. So Johnny DXer, nice to have you here. W3JMC from Philadelphia. Gbone1 says, I use the Eton version of Grundig and a 10 feet square copper pipe loop especially for medium wave DX. Cool. Whatever works is what is important. We all have our different ways of using devices and having antennas and Andy Coley, what did I think about angle SDR? I don't know. I've never heard of it, actually. The Delta 65 from New York City. Dave Todd, I've used an MFJ antenna tuner to receive, very little difference on receive compared to bypass, but for transmit, it keeps transmitters happy. Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. For sure. There, Nigel Lawrence uses an antenna tuner with the MLA30. Liam, well, we don't really know when they're due out, actually. They're due out eventually someday. Tom DXer, have you ever tested the AirSpy HF Plus or the HF Plus Discovery? I hear a lot of really good things from the AirSpy HF Plus and Discovery, but I have never tested one here. But I do hear a lot of positive out of it. Then Shortwave says, is XH Data D808 is my go-to portable radio. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I tried to, because you guys that follow me for a long time, you all know that I have a lot of radios. And what I try to do every day and every week is to kind of cycle and through the radios. One of the things I hate the most is seeing a radio on the shelf and it's like, yeah, it's been there for 4 years. There's 2 inches of dust on it because you never use it. I don't like that. So what I like to do is once a week at least, I look at my shelf and I'm like, okay, that radio I've not used in a while. Whether it's good or crappy, I hate seeing a radio not used at all. I got them not just for collecting purposes. I got them because I want to use them also. And maybe I won't, the crappy ones, I'll spend, an evening and then I'll put it back on the shelf and not use it for a year. The ones that are decent, I try to use them quite regularly. I took out my Texan R9012 analog portable, what was it? Wednesday, I think. And I spent a chunk of Wednesday tuning around the bands with the R9012. That's why it was actually on the official SWL little stand, because I used it during the day. I have brought out my Degen DE1103. I had not used it for a little while. Great little radio. I mean, it's fun radio, and it's one of those older radios that I've got here. I try to cycle through and use all of these radios regularly. Matt, ever use your ephedry anymore? Which model was it that you have? My ephedry is used by Fastload that you guys see in the chat room. When I got the SDR Play, I actually lent him the ephedry, and he's using it as a pan adapter on the Kenwood R5000. So he's having fun with that, and that's why I'm not talking about the ephedry anymore. I would guess the ephedry is much more noisy when I compare it to an SDR Play device. It was fun to use, and I kind of liked it. Pillar Radio says, when wondering why we can't tune between 450 and 520 with the XH Data D808 and the Radio R108. That's because these radios can tune everywhere. And it's mainly, I think, a software thing in the design, because the Radio R108 and the XH Data D808 are based on that silicon integrated chip, which tunes all the frequencies. So it's the way that they design the software, or the kind of the firmware inside it, that decides where we're tuning in the different bands. So I don't know. They made some kind of awkward decision like that little chunk is unavailable. Robert Mallory says AirSpy HF Plus Discovery signal noise ratio rating is what makes it stand out. I would like to use SDR Uno with the AirSpy, but not yet. Lenny Shortwave, don't get me wrong, I use all my radios ever so often, like once a week. A few days ago, I used an old Grundig RK709. It was quite dusty. I hate to see an old radio not used for a long time. So I try to cycle through them. We got our favorites. When you have a lot of radios like me, and the day that you want to, look at one, and you're like, well, that's a crappy one. Do I really want to use it today? I got a few that I cycled through also in my kitchen. So in the kitchen, I've got my standard kitchen radio, and that radio is actually a radio that I only turn on when I leave the home, so that it feels like there's somebody home. So I cycle through different radios for that too. The ones that work, I will cycle through. Like right now, I'm using the Panasonic RF 562. That analog that looks like an old chrome colored portable radio from the 60s. That's my AM FM radio pretty much for when I'm gone. And then someday I'll take another one that I have here and say, okay, you're the kitchen radio for the next 6 months. So that also makes me cycle through the radios and use them for different things. PLF Radio says, I don't think you enjoy using your Reticus portable. It's sad because I look at it and I feel I want to use it because it's nice looking. But man, that thing is such a crappy radio. It's so sad. And especially all the little flaws and the little things that are like, what the hell did you guys think in designing that thing? So, Commando 602, what radio is on the top shelf behind your left shoulder? And can you bring it to the front of the camera? You're probably talking about this. And this is the Grundig. So I'm going to start the chat here because I now joined. And can I go make myself another drink, guys? If you guys want me to continue, I need fuel. And so while this is happening, I will actually put the camera back on Paul the Cat while I refill. So of course Paul had to move because Paul, when I change room, always changes room with me. Never wants to be alone. Just put that back to normal. Make sure that everything's okay. There we go. Perfect. This. And we are back. And cheers, everybody. Vodka, 7-Up, orange juice. And that is the drink for today. So that radio is it's a it's a nice radio. It's a great looking radio, actually, and it's got great sound and everything, but it has, and most people that purchased it back then, huge quality control problems. And unfortunately, that's the problem with this. So, Mr. Paul, here we go. So, hey guys, that. Mr. Paul saying hi to everyone. So it has huge quality control problems, and a lot of people that purchased that radio actually had a dead radio or a non-working radio. To give you guys an idea, I was saying earlier that I cycled through my radios. I took this one down yesterday because I wanted to tune around. And you know what? Something, even though I didn't use it for a while, I'm unable to tune shortwave. Something is not right. It works on FM. I'm not getting any shortwave. And when I actually tune with the tuning button, when I tune to the right, it ups the frequency, which is normal. But when I tune to the left, it also ups the frequency, which is not normal. So something went wrong in how it works. And it's all like weird. And the only stations I've been able to tune are FM stations yesterday. So I thought, well, okay, maybe I'll use it as a kitchen FM radio or something. So, it's unfortunate. It's the Grundig S450 DLX. And unfortunately, I don't know how many people, when I got it, and I bought that for I think it was like $59 or $69 on sale. And when I got it and I reviewed it, it worked well. But a lot of people, I remember back then that purchased it said, you know what? I returned it. It doesn't work. I think there's a huge quality control problem on that model. It's sad because it's a really nice big radio and it sounds great. But boy, that's crappy. What else do we have? So what else do we have? PLF radio. I know it's the same chip. It's not the chip that. So on many radios, and one of the things that a lot of things that we gotta know is that the silicon integrated 47, 34, 35 ish numbers are a radio chip. It's a radio chip that's very popular today. So when most portables that we buy that says DSP, they use that chip in it. It's become kind of a standard in how to make a radio chip that works. And if it does it well, it works well. And the XH data is an example of how you can make that chip shine and really work well. Now, the problem is that chip receives I remember I got the specs. I got a PDF here with all the specs of that chip because I'm kind of a little freak. I like to know what chips do actually and how they're built. And it tunes everywhere. The difference why a radio tunes a certain frequency range with that chip and others don't is all the circuit around it and the way that they program the radio to work. And it's simple. It's then the way that they designed it in that way, which is a weird way, but it's the way it works. And it's simply the design that makes that happen, unfortunately, because, yep, PL380 does tune there. It's one of those weird things sometimes that happens. Also, one of the things you need to know is that radios, when you switch, so a lot of designs today, what they do is when you switch from a 10 to 9 kilohertz on the AM band for Europe and North America, they also switch and change the frequency range of certain other bands, like long wave, including and so on. This is vodka. You won't like it, Paul. You're such a cute cat. So, it's really in the design of the radio. It's not the chip itself. Depending on the parts they'll use and the way that they just design it. Kevin Wood, thinking about IRCs in a historical way. Yeah, IRCs, for those that don't know what they are, because I believe they exist in certain part of the world still. I don't even know if you can get them here in the post office in Canada. I believe not. But I don't know. So they were a thing in the past, and I used some in the 80s and 90s. So IRCs that's short for International Reply Coupon. And anybody that listened to Shortwave for a long time knows that some stations sometimes would say, oh, if you want a QSL card or you want to have a book of this or that, please include IRCs in the envelope. Or, I remember a Japanese radio club would send me their bulletin, their monthly bulletin. It was not a monthly. I think it was like every 3 months, a quarterly one. And they would say, if you want to have our bulletin, it's 6 IRCs. So international reply coupons were invented to help you pay for postage for somebody else. So, of course, we all know that sending a letter costs money. And we don't think about it, but, when a station replies back, that station, is spending money to have you, to send you that letter. So back in the time, there was something called international reply coupons. You would purchase that, put it in the envelope. They need to be stamped. It's very, very important. So these were I remember they were yellow when I used them. And they were like, the size of, I don't know, maybe the size of a dollar bill. And basically, they would basically they would actually allow you to pay the postage for somebody else. So what would happen is you would purchase an international reply coupon. It was supposed to pay for an airmail reply in that country to send you back the letter. So, of course, you were kind of paying for that postage. And I used some quite a few times. The problem with international reply coupons is that even though they were kind of an official thing with the International Postal Union, they weren't treated the same in every country around the world. So that meant that some countries you would send one and it was okay, but some countries would say, well, we want 3 if you want to have a reply. which is like, oh, okay. And they were kind of expensive. So I remember the last time I purchased, I believe buying a stamp to send a letter internationally in Canada was at the time maybe I don't know, 70 cents, 75 cents. Well, a international reply coupon, I remember, cost like $1.50, $2. They were like twice or even three times the price of a stamp. And they were supposed to pay for the postage back, but a lot of stations and a lot of clubs wanted you to actually send two, three, or four of them. So now it was getting real expensive to get something back. And that's where I pretty much adopted, because when I was sending to African stations, it cost me, if it was to cost me $5, $6, $7, $8 for IRCs to have a letter back, it was actually better to just put in a $1 US bill in the envelope. Actually, the reply was better with that. And they slowly disappeared because the idea behind it was great, but I think there was some big, conspiracy of IRC stuff. I mean, why would you ask for three or four or five of them when in reality you needed only one to pay the postage back? I think some countries would kind of take that, and there was some kind of scam around IRCs at some point. Kevin J. Apollo, 1,811 miles on 5830 yesterday and 9 UTC. XH Data, D808, with just a whip. It's a great radio. Cool. The Seacrane Skywave SSB still in the box. It'll be interesting to see how you compare both, Kevin. The Skywave SSB versus the 808D, the D808. Joe says, bring something back for Paul. So, yeah, just one thing, Kevin, about the D808. Don't take that battery indicator. Don't believe that battery indicator. It falls to half a charge quickly, and in reality, you still have a lot of time of battery left. And get yourself, like I did, get yourself a few 18650 lithium ions. They're cheap, and they're the same batteries, by the way, that apparently you can get for the man, forgot the name. So the vape store sells them because the vape thing uses an 18650 apparently. So G-Bone 1 says, got all that realistic radio behind the chair, but it drifts a lot. Yeah, these do drift quite a lot. Absolutely. Pablo M, nice to have you here. Commando 602, Jill has a lot of random wires. Well, glad to see I'm not the only one that has a web of wires. Oh man, this is crazy. I got wires everywhere. You should see behind this desk. You wouldn't believe. The cable guy came once because my modem. So I've got that little white box right here is my cable modem for internet. And the guy comes over, and I had the old cable box because I upped my speed. So my speed is, because I was getting faster speed, they needed to change the modem. Guy comes up, looks at my wires under the desk and says, I ain't touching that. And I said, don't worry, I'm going to go and plug it and plug everything. I'll do it for you because I totally understand you don't want to go there with all the wires that you see. But it's the way that he looked at me. It's like, I ain't touching that. Oh, man. Paul wants to drink too, yeah? Oh, man. Paul has left the building. Paul, come back. Matt says this part should be the image you use as a preview for the video later, just the sweater on the chair without Paul. Mickey has a big signal from All India Radio. Let's check it out. 94.45. Yeah, not bad. All India Radio in English on 94.45 at 2207. So you were at 2153, Mickey. We all mess up on our UTC stuff, eh? So it's 2153 UT, Mickey. Like Matt earlier was at like 19 UT instead of 20. So it's 2208 UTC right now, actually. It's kind of a screwdriver, Johnny the Xer, but screwdriver is vodka and orange juice only. I add Diet 7-Up to it. So it is kind of a screwdriver. Yeah, absolutely. Current IT guy says, don't feel bad. 3 cats and 1 dog will follow me around. Paul the cat is always following me everywhere. Yeah, the Grande radio is great. It is heavy because it PLF radio, it has it like right now, it has 6 D-size batteries in it. It's heavy because of the batteries. But yeah, the radio looks very cool. Very, very cool. Kathleen, what about the VHF channel? Yeah, I'm looking at what's going to happen. So for those that weren't here on Wednesday, I'm going to just repeat a little of what is happening here. So in the month of May, this room, I got to take everything out because there's going to be some big work in the house here. So I'm kind of very discouraged at just thinking that all of that is going to happen. But at the same time, part of me is happy because, I'm going to rework this office. This office hasn't changed much in 20 years. And like everything in life, when you have a big change, it feels good. So what's happening is that, I've been looking at what I do here and all of that. I've been having these moments where I'm thinking, do I want to move somewhere else, or what am I going to do in the future, in the years to come? And one of the big decisions here is that unless something major happens, I'm probably going to be here in 10 years. I like the place, and I'm close to everything. And when you're okay at a place, and it's not too expensive. So I've come to an agreement to have a lot of things done here, but that also means this needs to be removed, all of it. And of course, it's going to be a tough job, but at the same time, it's going to be interesting because I will be thinking about, I'm getting more and more intense and big in the YouTube sphere. My views have tripled in a year. Tripled. Not just on this channel, but on every channel, or the ones that I actually am active on. And so that also means that, okay, if I am to be bigger on YouTube, that also means I need to ramp it up. So, new microphone, new laptop, more lighting systems, more to come. And, I'm spending money to do all of this. But also that means that I will be rethinking this office as a YouTube studio. And everywhere, every side, every wall will be thought of as YouTube capable in some way. That also means, yes, I am thinking of what I'm going to do in live shows, because I haven't abandoned the VHF channel in live shows. I haven't abandoned the tech show channels, live shows. I'm just searching myself into, wow, how can I do it in a way that's going to be more appealing and interesting? And that's what's happening. So I'm kind of searching myself in what live, I mean, from the start, the Shortwave live show has always been the most popular of all from the start. And of course, the other channels, when I did live shows, there was a certain number of viewers. I mean, the tech channel, the Windows 10 and computer channel, I get asked regularly, when are you bringing the tech show back? And I wanna, honestly, I wanna, but to do that, you have to have fun doing it. I mean, I do 2 shows on the Shortwave channel because I'm having fun doing it. Stopped doing the VHF show. I stopped doing the tech show. I wasn't having fun anymore. I was at the beginning. I wasn't anymore after. And it was getting a burden. I mean, I was waking up in the morning. It was like, oh man, it's the tech show today. I don't feel like doing it, Or I was waking up and like, oh, VHF, UHF live show. Really? I don't feel like doing it today. I mean, there's always days when there are live shows and things that you do that you are sometimes waking up in the morning and thinking, it's a shortwave show today. I'm not sure I want to do it, but it's different. The shortwave show is always fun to be, and it's always fun to do. And you guys are great, and that's helping out. And I got an audience here. I mean, when I've got a minimum that I want for a live show, and this channel does it. I mean, when I look after 24 hours and I got 1,000 views for the live show, I'm happy. I'm happy. It's, it's a very niche, very unique place, but I got 1,000 views in 24 hours. I'm happy camper. It's something that's impossible. It's weird the way things happen because my tech channel has a lot more subscribers than this channel. Actually, my Windows and computer channel is driving my YouTube stuff because it has, a lot of views every day. And it's just amazing. But even though it's driving at a really fast pace, the live shows on that channel are crappy in views. But here, I got 1,000 views in 24 hours. I'm like, okay, weird. I got 20,000 subs here. I got so much more than that on the other one. And you're like, what the hell? This is so weird. So in May, there'll probably be a couple of weeks I won't be live because this room will be completely redone. And when I come back, it's going to be very, very different. It's going to not look like it's looking now. For one major reason, I want to feel like I'm in some new place. I'm getting tired of how it looks and how it is now. And, I think it's just going to feel good to have more and to have something different. But it also means that if I'm on that side or that side or this side or this side, each side is going to be YouTube worthy. It's going to be a different YouTube studio in one room that is my office. So hang in there. This fall, I think there's going to be some things happening. Okay. Matt is getting All India Radio 9445. G5RV and IC 7100 from ICOM. Only a carrier on the MLA30. That's interesting. The G5RV. Can you switch the G5RV on the RSPDX? Maybe it's that G5RV that's making all of that signal. Catalan, what's QRP? QRP is very low power. So some ham radio operators are operating QRP because there's different ways of thinking in amateur radio community when you send out a signal. So there's the guys out there, and we hear them in the contest all the time. These big gun guys that want to have 1 kilowatt of power in their antennas. I want to have power. I want to send a signal with a lot of power. But on the other end of the scale, there's the ham radio operators that are happy to make 1,000 kilometers of, DX using 1 watt or 5 watts. So QRP is the other side of the scale. Hams that are happy because they use very low power and still will show you that they will DX the other side of the world. Let's go down. So I'm starting to go down, guys. I took a big... So I was up to par with the chat, but now I'm 20 minutes behind. I'm getting there, guys. Keegan says, my Grundig S450 DLX worked fine when I got it. Mine worked fine when I got it. But it degraded real fast. Commando 602 really misses Radio Shack. We all do. We all miss the Radio Shack from our young times also. Hamed Ebad Srara, nice to have you here. Where are you from, Hamed? David in Barcelona, nice to have you on board, my friend. Liam, does the MLA30 need a power supply? You need to supply it with some power, yes, because it's an active antenna. It comes with a little USB cable, so you can power it directly from a computer if you want. I use an old, I can't show you because it's down there, but I use an old iPhone 5 little white cube to power it, and it works great. But you can power it from anywhere from 4 to 14 volts. Commando 602 used to live at Radio Shack and loved their look and their Sunday ads. I would just hang out at Radio Shack in the mall while the wife went shopping. Ah, man, I wanted to... I would be at the Radio Shack all the time. I mean, I think any of us that knows Radio Shack really well, and I mean, I would look at all the stuff in there, and man, if I would have been a millionaire, I would have bought everything that I would see at a Radio Shack. It was just so cool. Rob says Paul wants to drink too. Fast Eddie, V3KRP, nice to have you here from Thunder Bay, Ontario, Canada. Edwin Toma, I have this radio and it is horrible. Mine was great until it started degrading. JD Williamson, yeah, there was also something called IRC, which is the Internet Relay Chat. That was that. It's still active today for chatting. The 350. 350 is here. I've got the 350 also, my friends. So this is the 350. This is this little cousin, the 350. So in terms of reliability, the 350 is actually better. The 350, this one is the S350DL, which comes with headphones and all of that. That is actually better in quality control. I mean, it works well. The difference is that the 450 is a PLL synthesized one. So when I purchased it, it was supposed to be an upgrade to the 350. Because the 350 is an analog radio with a frequency counter. What that means is that when you tune, it drifts slowly. Not too bad, but it drifts. The S450 is the S350, but with a PLL, a phase lock loop synthesized receiver. It's supposed to be dead on and drift very little. Unfortunately, I would recommend, if you find a cheap S350 and you like it, yeah, But if you have a S450 DLX somewhere, I'm not sure I would say to someone buy it. If I would tell you to buy it, I'd tell you, ask the seller, does it work really well? Because man, that radio has really serious quality control problems. So Learn Nigel Lawrence here in the not for sale in UK. The Royal Mail stopped selling IRCs on December 31st, 2011. I don't think there was a lot of people asking for IRCs, honestly. Blues Dude, nice to have you here. René Paquin, nice to have you here, says you can still buy IRC at the post office. So we still have IRCs? Wow. Okay. Interesting. I wonder how much they costed it. They must have cost a fortune. I wouldn't be surprised, J-Ron, that some places stole them. Bullfrog 89. Vape batteries are 18,650. Yep. Roberto Rojas. ¿Cómo está, mi amigo? Desde Argentina. Chin chin. Matt says if that's not a screwdriver, maybe it's a power driver. Shitty Pyro 90, nice to have you on board. You know what? I was thinking about that, JD Williamson, the green screen. Absolutely. It's one of the things that I am thinking about, having one side with a green screen so you can edit and do all sorts of things. I'm getting serious. I started doing YouTube for fun. And it became my job because it is my job. And, now it's time to ramp it up to another level. Let's go, Oh, thanks, Fast Eddie. So, in the Facebook group that you should all join, we have a scan of an IRC now. So, why not check that out? Let's check it out here. I want to see that. I still remember in my head what they look like, but I haven't seen one in such a long time. Such a long time. Such a long time. Oh man, crazy. Mine didn't look like that at the time. But man, this is crazy. So Facebook group, for those that want to join in, don't forget, we have a wonderful Facebook group that everybody can join. We're 3 members away from 500. So it's kind of where we continue the discussion of radio when all of this is over. People sharing what they listen to, pictures of their shacks, radios, all sorts of things. And here's the link. So why not join in? David Martin says, resist the urge to install a disco ball in Laser Light Show. Yeah, no, that's not what's going to happen. Oh, man. Blues Dude, YouTuber DX Commander built his own studio. You should check him out. Yep. So, Liam says, went by Grundig 500. He was looking for $500. Then the post was $63. Then bring it to 150. Yeah. Oh, there will be a lot of stuff, Laird Nigel Lawrence. This is going to be the place. You'll be able to record the next Grammy-winning song in this studio when I'm over with it this year, and it's going to have. I'm going to have a lot of things happening. So what's going to happen is, for example, all the screens that you see will have links, so I can show you the screen on, and I can actually switch between the different feeds. there'll be more than one camera. This fall, I will have 4 different cameras here. I'll be able to just like click, 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 switch. There's going to be a lot of stuff. Tell you guys, something's happening in 2020. M Stacks, nice to have you on board. 4-second lag on the stream. Woohoo! Robbie O'Connor, nice to have you on board. Heyman Alshga, want to buy a Granic Satellite 700. Andy Coley says, we are not paying Jill a lot of money, so please give him something to pay for the remodel. I'm going to spend a lot of money. That's for sure. I will post the link to the PayPal and everything. You know what, guys? Somebody, I was posting my regular PayPal stuff. Somebody on Wednesday, on Thursday morning, I woke up with a message that said something like, how dare you ask for any money when you are monetized by YouTube? And yes, I am. And I won't lie. Radio and computers. I won't lie. My monetization, of course, when you triple your views, you're not tripling your monetization, but you are getting more money. And I got to say, got the best January ever. And you guys might notice that I do ask donations, but have you noticed that I ask less? I annoy you guys less with that than I did a year ago or 2 years ago. The story behind donations came from 2017 when, because YouTube has one. It's one of those things that if you decide you go there, you better have a really, really tough. You gotta make sure that you're capable of handling the ups and downs of all the crap that can happen on YouTube. So in 2017, for those that are newer, I started asking for donations for the first time for a very simple reason. I started doing YouTube in 2011-ish. And at that time, there was no monetization. I didn't even know what that could be possible. And in 2011, I came to All India Radio, by the way, just signed off. So what happened is in 2011, I started doing videos just for fun. Just like, oh, this is cool. I can post videos that the world is going to see and blah, blah. And one day I wake up and I got an email and it says, hey, you are eligible for monetization. And I'm like, what's that? And I started reading the text and it's like, really? I can make money off of YouTube videos? And so I signed up with, AdSense and YouTube. I signed up for the YouTube partnership. It's a super complex thing, by the way. I don't know today how it is. Back then, it was a super complex thing. You had to be approved to be monetized. Not everybody could, depending on the content. It was a very complex thing, and you had to deal with Google, and it was crazy. And so I became monetized. And, I remember my first 5 cents, it's like looking at my account and like, oh, look at that. I made 5 cents today, being so happy. Make 5 cents. I made a nickel. And you go through and it's like, oh, look at that. I made, $1 this week. I made $1. But you look at that and you're like, yeah. And then comes the first step. My nephew actually talked to me about it. My nephew, Gabriel, because he has a YouTube channel that unfortunately is now demonetized because of some of the rules of YouTube. But one day he came up to me and says, hey, I got my first $100. And for those that don't know, to be paid from YouTube, they pay when your threshold is $100 or more. So when you get your first $100, it's like, oh my God, And I remember I looked at my account and was like, oh man, I'm at 101.34. I'm gonna get $100. and you're all like jumping down. It's stupid, but it's just $100. But you're like, I got my first $100. And it drives you. It's like, oh man, how can I do $200 and so on. And so you just work on it and do videos and hope that people watch and hope that what you do is great, and that's been the main driver for me, trying to get more content and things that you don't think of happen through that. But in 2017, YouTube and Google screwed up because they started displaying ads in front of content that wasn't appropriate. So a lot of big companies, what they did was, hey, I'm pulling out. I don't want to have an ad in front of an extremist that's talking about his shit. And so so many companies actually went out in 2017 that my monetization dropped by a good 45 to 50%. And because I took a gamble and relying on that monetization, I was able to go through, but I was kind of screwed. It was like, whoa, I'm losing a lot of money indirectly because of that. And the only way that I could have continued in 2017, and I want to thank everyone that has participated in this, because some of you in this channel are the monetization, the donations and the donators of the original 2017 still today. Without that, I would not be here right now, because I would have had to ramp up my tech jobs and stuff, and I would be working out of the house and be doing something else, and I would not be here at all. So the that's when I started asking and for monetization. It took me a long time. I'm kind of a proud guy. I don't want to beg. Donations just feels like begging for something. And I remember it took me a while to do it, and I was kind of nervous to ask for anything. I was like, yeah, really? I'm gonna ask for money. I'm gonna beg. I feel like a beggar at the side of the street. Like, hey, sorry, mister, do you have change? For me, it felt like that. And it still does somewhat, honestly. So what happened is, of course, I asked for donations. And I remember because I did a special video back then saying, you know what, I am at the point in my life where I am, I don't know what I'm doing, and where I'm at a crossroad. I got a decision to take. Am I continuing with YouTube and doing what I do now, or am I abandoning all of it and you know what, seek new adventures and new ways of going through my life? And the response was great. It was great enough that it tremendously helped me going through that year. And it's something that today I've transformed into a different way of thinking. So you might not know, but I'm here all the time, like 6 to 7 to 8 hours live every week. Plus, I do the videos. You guys enjoy the videos I post every day, pretty much every day. And it's, I mean, I'm working hard to try to bring content to the channel. But it also means you need to invest in hardware and all sorts of things. You guys that saw me in the first live show next to my dryer in the kitchen, and then live shows with weird lighting, and now live shows that have better lighting, better quality. Well, all of that, it costs money. You got to buy stuff all the time, and there's nothing more intense in buying stuff than doing live shows, because you need a good camera, you need a laptop that performs, you need better internet connections, It's all stuff that costs you more for live shows. And you know what? I got a direct response. There's a friend of mine that's a big business guy, and we talk business because YouTube and YouTube being a YouTuber, I'm sorry, but it's a business. Okay. I am part of a business. I decided to do this, and it's a business. Um, After all, even though you like what you do, I do live shows and everything's wonderful. And that guy is kind of a shark, he's the kind of business guy that's like, that doesn't work out, you know, something new, something else. We got to make money, you know. I'm more of a guy that, I just want to make a good living. I'm not necessarily asking if I'm to be a millionaire. If I am one day, thank God. But it's not what I'm asking. I'm more of I just want to live and have a good life and do what I want to do for fun, which this is part of doing for fun. And I remember that guy saying, "Well, do the live shows that you do pay really?" And I told him, I said, um, well, I could you know, live off of YouTube without any live shows." And he said, "Why do you live shows then?" And I said, "Well, no, I do live shows because I love doing them and I love the guys that I'm with. But for him, it's a nonsense." And that's where I'm not a businessman. My side of business is not that. My side of business is not, well, I'm not gonna throw away the live shows because it's I could live without them. I do them because I'm kind of having fun doing them, and that's why the shortwave live shows are here. Shortwave live shows are here because I enjoy doing them. Simply. So I'm going to stop ranting and talk about that, and try to go to. So I'm 20 minutes. What is it? 15. Well, 20 minutes behind in the chat. Matt has Voice of Greece 9420, and let me just try to take care of PLF Radio, Old Man Radio. Nice to have you on board. The name of our tech channel is Windows 10 and Computers. MStacks. I got Windows 10 and Computers. I've got official VHF UHF channel that I posted a video yesterday. I've got Easy Computer Fixes. There's a mishmash of all sorts of things. I've got Windows Insider channel for the insider side of Windows and insider of all sorts of things. So anyways, a lot of stuff. Let me try to get closer to the bottom of the chat now. Okay, whoa, I went back a little too far here. So, what else do we have? David says, "Could you go back to the origins, the kitchen?" Why not? That could be kind of fun. Do a kitchen show with the ICOM. Put the ICOM in the kitchen like it was, and do a kitchen show like I did back then. Yeah, that could be interesting. That could be really interesting. That could be really interesting. Tell us something about the U.S. How are you, my friend from Brazil? I was hearing that there's some flooding in Brazil. Hope everything's all right on your side. G Bone One says Eton Grunning S350 was on sale. Yeah, same here. I bought it on sale. Sometimes Radio Shack had these tables with like clearance sales. I got it there for like I don't know, $79, I think, something like that. Catalin, replacing the thin silver wire from MLE30 with some thicker copper wire or pipe will bring huge improvements. Some say yes, some say no. I'm not sure, but I will. I'm waiting for my third MLE30. We'll be testing that because the third one is going to be the test loop. Let's have fun testing that thing with different, Maybe we can improve it somehow. Some of you are already trying that for sure. Yeah, JD Williams, I don't like, the reason I don't do super chat is I don't want to have people feeling that because you can spend money. I do it in a way that is, I don't want people that don't have money to feel left out. I got some people saying, well, you should do shows for people that pay. Yeah, no, I don't like that type. I don't like that type of thing. Casper Peterson, nice to have you here. Oh yeah, Kadarius. I would be drooling over those catalogs all the time for Radio Shack. It's pretty crazy. Joe Summerlin US. Past morning, I received strange USB signals on 5240, like past year HARP signal. Have you noticed any HF experiments these days? HARP is actually off the air. So what you got is probably not HARP. So I don't know exactly. It would be interesting to see what type of signals you got, honestly, because I know that HARP isn't active lately. Since the Chris Fallen has been doing other things and he's not part of the program anymore, HARP is pretty much shut down. But there's so many things on shortwave that we don't even know that. I bet you that almost every day there must be something new on shortwave that we don't even know about. Terry Cook, nice to have you on board, my friend. KF7BQ, Western Montana. Tam858, nice to have you here from Edinburgh, Scotland. Thank you very much for the nice comments. Mitch is picking up Adventist World Radio out of Guam on 11955. Wow, this is cool. Leonard Nigel Lawrence, join the group on Facebook. Cool. How many people are we now? Let me check that out. So we are at. Oh, 4 people want to join the group. Let's check that out. Okay. So we've got 1 approve. We've got 2 approve. We've got no answered questions. And we've got Al Catalan. And with these 3 people that I just approved, we all now have a toast, guys, because we have reached exactly 500 members live on this show on the Facebook group. Welcome all to the new members. Don't forget, post your radio pictures, your shack, what you're listening to, share with others, ask questions, be polite, be great radio citizens. We are here to have fun. And 500. Woohoo! Cheers, everybody. It's a great place to be. I can tell you that. So just approve 3. Don't forget, if you do ask to be here, answer the radio questions. It's important. And we are at 500 officially. Woohoo! This is great. JD Williamson, and before 2015, when the bloke made a video about you? Yeah. But you know what? That bloke actually increased my viewership. When he made that video where he's saying that, I've got whatever. You know what? People were intrigued. They actually came here to see who I was because he talked to me. And we learned on Wednesday that he actually deleted his channel now. Oh, well. Bye-bye. You're not going to be missed. I can tell you that. Jerry DX says, I need a beer made. Oh, man. HNX Media, nice to have you here. Says, quality YouTube takes a lot of dedication. Yeah. And you learn. I mean, you learn from your mistakes. You see people's comments. You start doing stuff. I mean, I look at a live show from when I started, and I look at myself now, and I'm like, "Whoa, really? That's what it looked like, and I sounded like that back then." And even the videos that I do today, it's like, yeah, the first video, I was like, "Oh man, that's how I did videos." We always kind of improve. Dave Belil, nice to have you here. There's Belil, WA1UJA in New Hampshire. Nice to have you on board. Hunter Carver says 10-4 on having fun. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. Liam says, always looking forward to the show. Hey, David, KJ4CMY. Yes, better late than never. Absolutely. Pretty cool to have everybody on board. Temp here says Dave is 5 Fahrenheit. We're at minus 17, so we're almost at 0 Fahrenheit. Almost at 0 Fahrenheit. Minus 16.9 Celsius. And crazy. Liam's going to purchase the MLA 30 tomorrow. Bullfrog89 says, I remember a discussion from my general license class. General consensus was the thicker your antenna material, the wider the resonance. We'll see. It's interesting. Henry Casely. Good evening. Nice to have you on board, Henry. G8TMH from the UK. G Brown 5274 is a oceanographic radar. Possible. Joe Sombra Newhouse says, yep, a lot of water flood, but stopped raining these days. Unfortunately, many people lose their belongings, house, cars. Oh, man. I'm okay, unhurt, no worries. Okay, cool. Lee Burkett, see you next week. Woohoo, 500. Everybody's happy with the 500. Cool, 500. WF7I Homebrew, nice to have you here. Joe Sombra says, I'm out of Facebook for many years, but if I return, it is because I want to be on this shortwave group. Create some kind of weird profile, and just join. So it's pretty cool, actually. 500. Miki Dalmage says, CRI, China Radio International via Mali on 11975. Let's check it out here. 11975. I've got a very, very weak. Yeah, it's there, but it's weak. It's weak. But I see a weak signal. No, Liam, it's really a small antenna. You don't need that much of a large area for the MLA 30. Just going to close the door for a second, guys. 2 seconds. So we are back. So it's very weak in signal. JD Williamson, maybe time for a cringe video. Watching back your first video. Better not. Oh, man. I think I'd be shy. I'd become all red. Well, I still remember the first ever live show I did was here. And the first ever show I did was I was like all stressed out. People are going to watch me on the internet live. Maybe I'm going to make a fool of myself or something. That's pretty much what it sounded like when I started. And I remember like 10 minutes before, like, okay, I'm stressed out. People are going to watch. People are going to watch. What are they going to think of me? Today is like, okay, live show. Let's go. Start. One of my friends has a hard time in public. And he was telling me, I watched your live show one day. And you seem so relaxed. I'm like, why shouldn't I be relaxed? It's like, it's just a live show with great people. And they're not happy, they just watch something else, and that's it. Tam858, how do you rate the Ethon Satellite 750? It's an okay radio, but there's better out there than a 750. Jean-Marc Letts has 9445, All India Radio English, signing on 2245 for Far East Target on the 20 SDR. Matt, 9445, Stronger Now. Interesting. Liam says, you're a nice guy. Bobby, I do get free stuff for a review, but you know what? I don't. So look at that, Bobby. I have one very, very simple thing. I'd rather buy my stuff and say it's the crappiest thing in the world than getting it for free. I do get for free stuff. I got actually some emails and some talks with different companies. But they're all scared of me because I'll tell them, if it's crappy, I'm going to say it's crappy. And I want that. You know what? I don't want to have free stuff. I want to buy it and just say it's the crappiest shit I've ever used. Or not. If you believe in your product, send it. Look, SDR Play send me an RSPDX for free. It's an amazing device. And you know what? I know they did it because also they know that they sold a certain number of RSP1As and some of their devices because of me. And it's cool. It's cool. Rob, I love watching your older videos, y'all. They each have a timeless quality. Yeah, they're all gonna be there, and I'm gonna leave that there forever, and for as long as YouTube and all of this exists. Maybe someday I'll be dead, and this is gonna be my legacy of what Jill was and Jill existed in this world. Nigel Lawrence says, is still HF communications on aeronautical mobile? My radio friend was asking. There's a lot of communications of aeronautical. Yes, absolutely. Still a lot of stuff. JD Williamson, by the way, what are channels that you watch? Oh, man, I watch quite a lot of them. So I watch a lot of the channels from, my viewers that are radio related, like Danny Shortwave and so on. So a lot of you guys' channels that are radio related, I watch your videos pretty much every week. I'm not one of those that comments much, but I'll watch and I'll put a thumbs up. So if you look at the stats and you see a Canadian guy that has thumbs ups on your videos, probably me. I watch, for example, last night when I was doing the ICOM stuff, Mr. Carson's Lab, I really enjoy. There's also, what's the name? There's that guy that makes a lot of repairs of old tube receivers that I watch. I also watch silly stuff, FB, the Fine Brothers Entertainment, laugh challenge and stuff like that I kind of, I don't know why. I watched that and I kind of find it funny. But I would say that 90% of my YouTube use is trying to find unique stuff, interesting stuff, technical stuff, science stuff, most of the time. Mika Delmage says, India 9445 is blistering here and 2252 UT. Must be pre-solar storm. Interesting. Let's try it again. 9445. Am I hearing anything? Well, it is there. It's there, but it has that very fast fading, like if it comes from the pole. Interesting. Corn Patch DX, nice to have you here. Joseph has 94.45, only a little above F5. Brian Penny says, my TV only tunes channels 2 through official shortwave channel. I like that. Hey, B, nice to have you on board. Says, get off your Solarbox gel because your channel is what it is, and that speaks for itself. Keep the bunny and the background and all is sorted, sir. Thank you, Tam. I mean, I won't go much into it because he's mad, unfortunately, for wrong reasons. But two hands on the radio, one of his comments that actually kind of touched me because one of his comments was he was tired of having people say, well, your videos are bad because of this or that other reason. And if you guys would see the number of, because I'm not joking, if you guys would see the number of death threats, of you should kill yourself, of well, this is the lamest video I've ever seen. Every day in my face in comments. You guys don't see them because I set the level of comments to be approved before they go on. Oh man, I get them every day. Okay, the ones about death threats, I report them to YouTube and say, "Look, I got a death threat." That's maybe once a week. Then I've got the ones that are, this is lame, this is bad, you are bad, you're ugly, you're, basically, the losers in their basements that never were able to, make something in life, that now, because they're hiding behind a screen, are coming back at you and telling you bad stuff, that's my daily stuff, I had someone come over, a friend of mine, one morning, and I said, you want to see the comments I get? Look, I haven't looked at the comments yet today. And I put the page with the comments on my tech channel. And he looked at them and says, man, these are bad. They're hurtful. And I said, yeah. That's what a YouTuber goes through every single day, every single week. It's life. You got to live with it. But some people just, I had a hard time when I started. For me, it was hard. It was hard. It was, I would get these comments about how, well, what you're doing is so bad. And I was like, man, okay. This is so boring. This is that. And yeah, you feel like killing someone or something, but as you go and just like, one of those, you wake up in the morning, you have your cup of coffee and you're like, yeah, I'm going to kill myself today. Blah, blah, John Rinson, nice to have you here, my friend. Yep, G-Bone one, all the big airplanes going through over the Atlantic Ocean and stuff like that. Shitty Pyro 90 still getting 94.45. S5. Cool. Today's figures, nice to have you here. Pretty cool. Oh, John, I totally understand. John Ritson. Work. Always interferes with stuff we want to do in life. Take care, Icadarius. Was nice to have you here. Joseph getting 94.45 with a lot of weird, repetitive, high frequency interference. What I'm being on tonight, John? Talking about radio. How bad for a subject? JD Williamson says, we see enough here in the chat we delete. That's about 1% of all what you get, the shit you get. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, sometimes it's strong opinions, There are people out there that I remember one comment. It was interesting because I remember one comment. The guy told me something, but it was pushed in a way, voiced in a way that is kind of in your face. And I remember I answered back. He came back in your face again, really intense. And I came back and I said, "Well, you know what? You're still visible in the comments. I didn't delete or block you, but I think blah, 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 blah." And I stated my case. And he came back and he said, "Okay, Tiger, you got a point. Let it through." But, I wanted to at least say one thing. It's like, you just put it shoved it in my face, real intense. As a YouTuber, I had two choices. I could have just said, block. I don't want to have that. I answered back, let it through, and let it through, and let it through. It's like, if I was such a bad guy that couldn't accept comments or couldn't accept people's criticism, you would have been blocked a long time ago. I just, voice my opinion, your opinion. Yours is very in my face, but you're still there and everybody can see the comments. It's, You know what, Joseph? What is the problem? Joseph says, it's so bad that people are feeling bad enough to treat others like that. It's, I think, the internet gave an opportunity to people that are that type of people, but that will never tell you in your face what they told you on the computer. Why? Because they feel there's a protection. I don't know where they are. They are in their basements, feeling alone and probably being idiots. And their frustrations, finally, their own personal frustrations of not being, one of the things that I always say, and I never say it, but I sometimes will send back, I don't answer anymore to any rant because it's useless. But I remember one of my favorite phrases that I would always post back was when somebody would post, "Well, you're an idiot because da 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 da." I would always say, "Don't you find it interesting that you are showing all of my viewers how idiot you are with that type of comment?" Which is probably the worst thing you could say because they're like, "What? I'm not an idiot." Yes, you do. Look at what you just posted. All my viewers are looking at that and like, "Who's that idiot?" You know? But honestly, anybody out there that is a YouTuber watching, don't take the time to answer back. It's useless. It's useless. You're wasting your time. Just brush it off. You know what? I'm the guy doing live shows. I'm the guy doing YouTube stuff. Look at who posts these comments most of the time. People that have zero videos. "Oh, your video's crappy." You got zero videos. You really know what you're talking about, what's scrappy or not, for sure. If you are a YouTuber with 10 million subscribers and hundreds of videos, and you come to me and say, "Well, you're really crappy." Okay, I'm crappy. I look at what you do and how many people you have. It's like, "Oh, yeah, I'm crappy." That's it. But every time somebody does that, it's like, "Yeah, you got zero videos and you're going to tell me that, well, the lighting was not right on that video." Yeah, and you got no videos online. Show me something, man. I remember one guy that had like maybe 50 videos online. Came up to me once and said, "Well, you'll never do anything good on YouTube because, all the things you do are bad." And I came back to him and I said, "Okay, you got 50 videos and you got 1,000 views total. I've got, at that time, it's like I got 100 videos. I got 55,000 views total. Maybe I'm doing something right better than you are, at least, because I got more views per video than you do, even though I was just starting out. It's like, I don't know. It's this human nature of some people always wanting to make you feel bad or try to show that they're better than you. Like that Finnish idiot that was ranting at me all the time. Well, he's not here today anymore. He's removed his videos. I'm still alive, and I'll be alive on YouTube for a really long time. So if YouTube exists when I'm 90, I'm going to be the ranting 90 guy. 90-year-old guy ranting at, everything else on YouTube. I hope you guys are still here. I mean, it's just crazy. So we have everybody here. There's a lot of crazy stuff happening, that's for sure. And being part of an audience, and being international and having people just being out there and being able to voice their frustration because nobody else is there. They don't do it in real life because they're afraid you're going to punch you in the face. But behind the screen, they feel safe. Bullfrog89 says Barry Lewis, a cooking channel formerly My Virgin Kitchen, told me he gets a lot of rude, discouraging comments every day, doing something as basic as cooking. Whatever you're going to do and whatever the content you're going to do, you'll get that all the time. All the time. It's part of what it is to be and have an online life, actually. It's crazy. WF7I Ombra says, sorry to have to put up with so much BS with the internet users, but your channel has kept me motivated to do radio, so I appreciate your perseverance. You feel you end up doing just brushing off the bad and doing, we're having fun. And that kind of comment like you just did, and all the people that follow me, makes you feel good. It's like, it's just crazy cool to have fans like you guys, So, oh, I can tell you, Michael Danger, Canada's plenty divided. Plenty divided. It's not all that tolerance can be. I can tell you that. J.D. Williamson says, I hope we cheer you up. You're great. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. I know. We have the best group. And I've said it before. I created a Facebook group with all the people. We reached 500. If I did not, if I wasn't happy what I did, I can tell you, I would not be here. Brian Weitenheimer, nice to have you here and listening to Japanese hams on 20 meters. HP, nice to have you here. Don't believe this. I'm so sorry. We love you and your presentations of all things interesting to do with radio. What we all love. Always like to catch you live. Cool. Yeah, G-Bone one. Strong opinions. You can absolutely. You can. Some are intense, but you live with it. WF7I Ombro says work interferes with radio time, but without work, we can't buy radios. Et voila. That's the problem. David says, I'll never understand how a person can behave in certain ways. Death threats. Yep. Absolutely. Kimberly says, at least you don't do super chat where honestly, I feel strange with super chat because I feel ignored in a way for not giving on super chat. I just feel it's very strange. That's why I don't do super chat. I don't want to have people feel different or feel left off. I had a contest once on the tech channel where a one of my viewers was donating a tablet to anyone that would donate during the live show. First one I got is, oh, well, I'm off. This is a show for the rich. What? It could be just $1. You would have given me 25 cents. You would be in the contest. I didn't even ask for a minimum. But that comment was like, so this is a show for the rich. What? What are you talking about? And that was in 2017 when I needed money because YouTube was down. And that viewer was good enough to say, you know what? Let's do a contest. I will donate a tablet to someone who wins. And I just said, hey, we're going to take the names of everybody that donated. We're going to choose a name and a hat. And here is the winner of the tablet. And the winner did have the tablet. It was cool. And the first comment that comes up is, so this is a show for the rich. Yeah. Some people need sometimes to sit down, I think. I remember the first comment I was like, okay, this is going downhill from the start. Wow, this is so cool. People try to help you and somebody else is like, yeah, this is a show for the rich. That's why, on YouTube, it's very complicated. A lot of YouTubers are ranting at YouTube on that and how the comments are and how it's difficult to deal. A lot of YouTubers have actually deactivated comments. And I don't. I filter them. I put it in a different category unless I've approved you, because a lot of you are approved, by the way. That when you post a comment, it's going to the channel because I know you're a good guy, But if I don't know you, it just goes through, my filter where I look at your comment and I'm like, oh, approve, delete, block, whatever. Don Rinson says, just like pebble in a stream and let it flow. Yep. Et voila. That's all, Rickshaw Jack got the Texan PL 880. What's the best antenna for it, for shortwave? Well, it depends on the noise level, because just the Texan with its own telescopic is already pretty good performer. But if you have too much noise, you might need an outdoor antenna or wire or an MLA 30 loop. But yeah. What's on the radio now? I'm going to check it out. Matt says, I wouldn't listen to some big YouTuber any more than some troll if they couldn't give their criticism constructively. Yeah, that's also the other thing. You know what? It's when somebody says, for example, the only comment you have is, well, that's crappy. What's crappy? Or, that guy's lame. For what reason? What didn't you like? It's like on the tech channel. One of the funniest comments or thumbs down that I get is, well, I tried your trick and it didn't work, so thumbs down. We all kind of know that, in a computer, there are 35 million ways of doing the same thing that can fix whatever you have. And maybe that solution is for a problem that looks similar but is different than yours. And you look at that and you're like, wow, you don't know what a thumbs down is. A thumbs down is, this is not a good content to watch. Not, I applied your recommendations and it didn't work, thumbs down. It's like the idiots here that put thumbs down all the time. Like, no life. That's all I got to say. Bullfrog89 says, I had someone leave a super insulting comment on one of my videos. I just said, if you can do better job, go ahead and upload something. Yeah, you know. There, Nigel Lawrence says, oops. I lost the link here. If you say something on the internet, think they can hide in front of their screen. Yeah, that's the problem. Madam Bali says, hey, now basements make for great shacks. B says, you're spot on. A gun is only dangerous in the wrong hands, and the internet is just the same. Gary was a unique one-off, and his content and humor is sorely missed. You know, it's crazy. How do I get a channel on Facebook? Liam Conlon. You just go to the Facebook group. There it is. And you have a Facebook account. And you just ask to be in and answer the questions. Matt says, I forget the person's name, but it was someone who was banned from Joe's channel, but he left some rude comment on one of my videos, and I deleted it. Never heard from him again. Yeah, you know. That's a collateral damage. I can't do it. I'm banned from there, so I'm going to go rant on some, peripheral guy that is a friend of his or whatever, Take care, Keegan. Oh, man. Lynn Crosby, nice to have you here. I like it when you start ranting. Kind of sounds like Don Imus got cranked up funny. But my rants today are less. Do I still rant? Like, I remember ranting more than that in the past. It seems like my ranting level is lower for some reason. Mark Stevens, nice to have you here from North Carolina. Oh yeah, I remember that J-Bond, the police department that raided the live stream. I remember that. David says, I barely get comments on videos I've uploaded so far. Shelly says, well, a lot of YouTubers might have followers, but what you have is almost like family. Yes, that's true. It's a very different thing here. Very, very different thing here. Absolutely. I would consider a lot of you as friends and easily, go to meet you up wherever you live. Ron Hicks, when I get around to it, Joe, I'll share some of my earliest QSL cards. My first QSL, Radio RSA, Radio South Africa, 1975. Wow. Crazy. This is crazy. What else do we have? Bro Weaver always thumbs down videos with robot voices. Hey, voila, Matt. You just have to mention it for that to happen. It's always like that. It's always like that. Poor trolls. Imagine no life, miserable, and not even capable of doing something like I do to have some great content. No wonder you downvote. You have just no possibilities in life and feel all alone in your basements. And the worst part is that it's the same guy probably with like 50 accounts, doing the same thing. Imagine how that person must be lonely and miserable in life. HNX Media, I had a massive channel leave a rude comment on my channel because my video showed people how to do something in a fraction of the time that they showed. And that happens, you can do it. You can do it. Why not? It's just stupid. It's just so stupid. But you know what, Bro Weaver? That's why it's funny. Is that people that do thumbs down, they think that they do something bad and that you're gonna be, you know, okay, got a thumbs down. So that's my way of saying, you know what, you're no one's gonna watch you anymore. And YouTube likes controversy. So when the level of thumbs down and thumbs up kind of start playing around, your video just shoots up in popularity because it's like, well, something's happening there. That's a content that people are like, there's a controversy going on. People want to watch that, you know? It's like a cat video. John Root, like your content. I appreciate all technical help and ideas. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, Matt, it's one troll. Absolutely. It's only one troll with like multiple accounts. It's always the same. And he's everywhere, by the way. You know what? He is on, he has all my channels. So he can actually troll here and on the other and the other. It's the same guy. I'm positive. I would even say that not only is it the same guy, but I probably know who he is too. Because through years you kind of learn, you know? It's just, you know. Take care, Brent. It's nice to have you on board, my friend. Sir Squally Wally, nice to have you here from Tolono, Illinois. Kevin says, I love confronting trolls. That's why I post with call sign. HNX Media says, thumbs down still shows YouTube viewers interaction. It is not necessarily a bad thing. Et voila. If it's only bad, if it's only negative, it might. But in fairness, most of the time, when it just, there's an interaction, there's stuff going on, it isn't a bad thing. And some of the trolls that will like try that because they want to make sure that nobody is going to watch your stuff. Actually, you're just making me even more interesting and more popular than ever when that happens. So, it's part of the stupid stuff that happens online. 9690. Spain. 9690 Spain. Still has what, 5 minutes of English left? 5960. With Turkish music. Voice of Turkey, 5960. 5960, Voice of Turkey. With pretty good signals. You know what, G-Bone 1? No, that's Turkey, Bro Weaver. It's Voice of Turkey. Direct from Turkey. 5960. You know what? I rather be, somebody asked me once, it's like, oh, you want to be a big gun YouTuber? It's like, no, I don't want that. I don't want to be, because big gun YouTubers are like stars on Hollywood. They get it like you can't go anywhere anymore and do something and without being bothered and followed and trolled and whatever. I really don't want that. I want to stay my average Joe guy that can go outside and not be bothered by anybody. It actually happened once last summer. One guy that watches my tech channel, that watched my live shows downtown. There's a guy coming up to me, and I'm like, hi, you are Gilles. Yeah. I watch your tech shows like, 2 years ago, and I'm a big fan of your tech channel and blah, blah, blah. Can I have an autograph? And it was like, wow, really? It was like my first time ever, It's like, wow, okay, somebody asked me for an autograph. Feels weird. I don't feel like I'm important enough for that, And but you know what? That's okay. But I wouldn't see myself as a big gun YouTuber that, I almost need security because, somebody's going to kill me somewhere. I don't know. I'm okay the way it is. What I want to do is be able to have fun doing what I do here and earn a decent living with it. That's all I'm asking, honestly. I don't want to be a big star, honestly. Matambali says so few viewers bother to click up, up, thumbs down. Clicking either one shows some kind of connection. That's true. That's true. Mark Stevens says, looks to me like you have a true dedicated following on your live streams every week. The live stream rocks. Thank you very much. Yes, I do. And that's why I'm here. I know. Monica Bean. Oh, man. John Root, a person can have more than one YouTube channel. How do I start a second channel? So there's two ways, John Root. You can, when you go to your Google account, you can actually link the same email to multiple channels. So you can actually start a new channel from the same email. You have to go into your settings somewhere. Off on the top of my head, I don't remember. So for example, this email, officialshortwaveradio@gmail.com, is linked to 3 channels. One there's no videos on, one that is this official SWL channel, and one that is the official VHF UHF channel. You can actually, I don't think there's a limit. You can actually link your same email with multiple channels and do tons of channels. You just create a new name. Now, the thing is with the rules today, if you create a new channel, you can't claim a name immediately. You need a minimum of 500 followers, I think, to have your official name on the channel. And the other thing that you can do is simply create multiple Gmail accounts and have a channel on each also, which is different, Matambali says, wow, picking on basement radio dudes and people named Joe. What the? Oh, man. So you can create more than one Google account, but don't forget, one Google account can also have multiple YouTube channels. You can have as many channels as you want, honestly. Matt says the one thing that the idiot in Finland showed was that Joel has a ton of different channels, but nearly all of them are inactive. He found it sinister, though. That was this first rant. His biggest rant was I had so many channels, and for him, that was the way I was kind of gaming the system. The only reason I have, and they're still there. I have 20 channels on YouTube. I take care of 4 really intensely. The rest I pretty much have abandoned. The only thing and the only reason, and that's why you got to be careful sometimes when somebody decides that you are a bad person because you must be doing this because of that. The only reason I have so many channels is when I started doing YouTube and noticing that you can monetize, I thought, let's try different ideas. My different ideas were different channels that I talk different things. I kept what was popular, left behind what what never worked. It's simple as that. But that guy used that as, oh, he's using all of these channels to like his videos and to. I don't. Come on. Anybody that does content on YouTube can tell you one thing. You don't have the time for that. It takes so much time just to create videos. You don't have the time to start going around clicking yes and, thumbs up and whatever. And it has very little effect anyways, It's just crazy. Kimberly says, people love you more today, Joel. You got 13 downvotes. I am impressed. So much love. Yeah. Oh God. Bro Weaver, since you speak English in a French province, I would be very surprised if anyone would know your YouTube channel. You know, here, of course, here it's more of why don't you make French language um, content? This is what I get from the people here is why do you do English language channels? Because I want to reach a bigger audience. That's all. It's just crazy. G Bone has 3 channels. David says it must be that today's Valentine's Day. I'm getting extra love. Oh man, 5-star rating on videos. Oh man. Jean-Marc Letts, 9445, All India Radio English service with music program in 2315. Great classical Indian raga music by famous Indian musicians. Still strong. Wow. But I do get a lot of you should do French language stuff. I did I have one channel that's in French, which was a Windows 7, because that time was Windows 7. No, Windows 8. Windows 8 videos. And I think it's a mix of Windows 7 and Windows 8 videos. Maybe I missed the mark on the French language for one reason, because I think it was like a year ago. I totally have forgotten about that channel. And I came back and I like, oh, look at that. Let's go see how that channel does. And every single video had more than 200,000 views. And that channel had like 10 videos, 8 videos. Maybe I should have done a French language. I sometimes get people from the radio side of things ask me here, why don't you do a shortwave radio channel in French? But it's things we do, and I don't know. For some reason, and it might sound really weird, I feel more comfortable doing English language content than French. Take care, John Root. It's nice to have you on board. Bro Weaver, could you do a quick review on what that awesome microphone setup you have? So what I have here, I'm going to get the box so you guys can see the box. So what I've got here as a microphone is this thing, which is the Maono AU. So here you got the AUA04 podcasting microphone kit. And this is a wonderful, wonderful microphone. It's about I paid about 70 Canadian, $75-$80 Canadian on Amazon. Bought it rated on because of the reviews and the ratings. And it comes complete with the arm, the microphone, the wind. You even have a windsock, USB cable that is actually with a choke, ferret choke, and everything. It's a USB cable. So it's a USB microphone. And the first thing I noticed when I plugged it in was like, wow, this is really better audio than whatever I've ever done before. And, I didn't want to pay $200-$300 for a microphone, but I wanted to have something that was better than what I had before. It's extremely directional. So if I talk here and I talk here, it's not the same level. It's very directional. That's something you got to get used to when you were used to a non, like, a omnidirectional one. But I'm very, very happy with it. It sounds great. Zero noise, has no noise. It's just crazy good. And I'm happy. It's very sturdy, very well constructed. The arm is really, really sturdy and good, and it feels quality. So Maono, Maono, AUA04 professional audio microphone, podcasting microphone kit, available on Amazon. Really amazing. I'm totally surprised by the quality of this thing. Honestly, totally surprised. G Bone One says my main staple listening to shortwave over the years was Radio Australia. Well, Radio Australia was such. I mean, Radio Australia. I miss waking up in the morning and tuning 9580 kilohertz. I think anybody that listened to Radio Australia for a long time in North America, we all have 9580 kilohertz will be in our minds forever. Like HCJB 9745 was the main, it's just crazy. Mitch as Radio New Zealand 13840 in Buckeye, Arizona. I'll try it just for the fun of it, but it never comes in at this time. There's a very small trace, so it's kind of just barely there, but it's not enough to listen to anything. Sorry, guys. Medina Mike, nice to have you here. Oh, yeah, it's an amazing microphone, honestly. Hey, John McClure, nice to have you here. Yes, it's so just ask for MAONO AU804 podcasting microphone kit. This is what you just search on. I bought it on Amazon. Maono AU04 podcasting microphone kit. Sorry, it's just great. G Bone One says, "Yep, still programmed in my memory." Yeah, I know. It's crazy. Welcome back, Keegan. Mark Stevens says, "Any benefit to a long wire longer than 100 feet? I use 40 feet now, thinking of getting longer. Any feedback appreciated." So, Mark, you know what? My general recommendation to anybody that's listening to radio, if you are in a quiet environment, if where you are putting out a wire is good and you're getting great reception, my second recommendation is the longer the better. Because shortwave signals are usually, if you listen to 49 meter band, well, 49 meter band, 49 meters is like, 150 feet. More than that was like, 200 feet. It's the longer the better for most of whatever shortwave is all about. That's what pretty much I will actually tell everybody. So if you put 200 feet or 100 feet rather than 40, very often you'll get more signals of a lot of the signals you're listening to. But that said, it depends also on the radio you're using. Be careful because a lot of portable radios and a lot of radios overload easily. So if you have too long of a wire with too strong of signals, it might actually be worse. But my general idea is the longer the better. Just put it as long as you can. That's it. G Bone One says my buddy here puts 600 feet wire antenna along the beach here, northwest part of the USA, and gets stations all over. Yeah, the lower what is nice about the longer wire is the longer the wire, the better the reception on the low frequencies. So if you do listen to stations on very low, like 60-meter band or even lower or even medium wave, getting a very long wire will get you a lot more signal on those frequencies. That's for sure. Closest anything to my home is half a mile, Texan PL 880. So just it's what's fun is um, to experiment and just have fun trying it out, and that's part of the fun of radio. They've taught which would be better, a 200-foot long wire or a two at 100 feet, one east west. Well, if you put two 100 feet wires and plug them together, you get a kind of a dipole type antenna. If you put a 100 feet north south and one east west, technically long wires are directional. And the longer they are, the more directional they are. So you could maybe find some advantage of having one north south and one east west. Is it enough of directional pattern that it changes or does an advantage? I'm not sure. But just do it and play with it and try it out, you know. Directional, Mike Hill. Long wires are directional at, I believe, 90-degree angle. Yeah, when you get really, really long. A beverage, how long does it have to be? I think a beverage needs to be at least, I think it need to be at least 300 feet long for a long wire to be called beverage. And that becomes extremely, extremely directional. But it will help you get the long wave stations from far away and medium wave from really far away. Take care, Fast Eddie V, 3KRP. Patrick Manny, have they stopped updating HDSDR? Last version is 2.76a. I don't know. I haven't used it in a long time, so I'm not sure. I'm using SDR Uno because I have an SDR Play device, and I actually prefer SDR Uno than HDSDR. But that's interesting. So they haven't updated since 2.76a, which is pretty long time since the last time. Jerry DX says antennas are all trial and error. Set it up and yep. That's what I did, you know. That's what I did when I was the teenager and I started out. I didn't know anything about antennas. My first feel was the longer the better. The hell with it. Let's put it as long as we can. And I tried so many things. I tried verticals. I even tried I remember, I was like playing around all the time with stuff. I remember I took a metal pole, I put a motor to act as a rotor, and I put a telescopic whip that was about, I don't know, 2 feet long, and I put it horizontal, plugged it, and I had a little switch to turn it from inside. It was very basic rotor type stuff, I tried all sorts of things it was part of, I'm having fun trying out stuff. And I was truly having fun with antennas and trying all sorts of things at the time. It was crazy. Oh, Liam, you can't go wrong with the MLA 30. The MLA 30 is an amazing loop antenna. I can tell you that. J Bones says tried 1,000 feet of antenna with 2 axes, north, south, and east, west. Wow. Yeah, I believe there's a need for that resistor to be beverage. Marvin Motts, beverage is basically at least a wavelength long and terminated at the other end with about 750 ohm resistor to ground to prevent resonance, thus very low noise. So look at all the knowledge we have in the chat room. It's just crazy fun. Medina Mike 7 years ago. Wow, I don't know. 31 meter band Irish commercials. I don't know. I don't know what you listened to, man. 7 years ago. Trying to think of what it could be, but Mike Hill, my first antenna, I turned it around a branch on a tree in a backyard. Didn't know about insulators back then. Yeah, same here. You know, it's crazy. Yeah, even the long wire antennas, you can't, like 40 feet is not a long wire antenna. It's a wire antenna. Like Terry Cook says, they're random wire antennas. There's a minimum for a long wire antenna. Mohidar Kana, SDR radio images. There are more images than you know. Need some explanation on review of images with SDR plus or SDR in general. What do you mean by images? Exactly. G-Bone 1 says, I was born in mid-77. Most of my first DX was 84 to 89. But I have been a radio and all my life, even a broadcaster. Cool. Matambali, that's all we need. A Montana property with lots of room. So let's get donations and buy ourselves a really huge property with tons of antennas on it. And all moved there. We will have, I'll be the brother stare of Shortwave. We'll have a community of radio geeks in a land, and we're just going to listen to the world from our own little shack in the middle of nowhere. So how about, guys? We do it. We start now. David says, same here. When I got into ARF, I basically thought the longer an antenna, the more sensitive it'd be. Later on, I learned that antenna length was instead related to the wavelength and so on. Yeah, you learned that. I remember when I learned about antenna length and all of that, and I created my own dipole for my CB radio because I didn't have any money to buy a CB antenna. So I created a dipole cut to 27 megahertz for my CB radio and taped it to the ceiling of the apartment where I lived with my parents. It was taped to the ceiling. And I remember the first contact I made, and the guy was like, like 50 miles away. And I'm like, what? You're so far. I've never talked far like that. And it was like, wow, my antenna must work. But it was taped. I was actually using cellophane tape and taped it to the ceiling. Just crazy. No money, but you know what? Great ideas and finding ways to do it. Can tell you that. Yeah, but I would be the brother stare of Shortwave. He's the brother stare on Shortwave. It's not the same thing. Oh, man. Kevin Jane Apollo 860 CJBC on medium wave. Rob says let's start a radio love shack. We'll change that B-52 song. Radio Love Shack, Radio Love Shack. Oh, man. Let's buy a country. Like a little island that they don't know what to do with it. Let's just buy an island and build a, radio world there. Oh, man. That's too much alcohol now. Matambali, make it a tropical island. Isn't there an island in Antarctica that we can rent? Like, oh, yeah. Oh, it has 30 feet of snow on it. Okay. Huh. Does it melt? Does it get hot sometimes? Oh, it's always minus 20 or lower. Okay. Okay. Liam, where in Europe can you get the MLA30? Get it on eBay. It's the best place. Get it on eBay. Tambali 13840 in Radio New Zealand, improving gradually on the MLA30. Cool. WHP says hooked is Ali Crafter's S38 to my bed springs and heard a bunch of six in the 60s. Absolutely. It's all the stuff that we do. All the stuff we do. Bullfrog 89, damn, I'm going to volunteer my time to do the moaning frog noises. Oh man, that would be better. Better doing than getting cut up in the middle of school biology class. You know what? What's going to be nice is we own our own island. We'll actually make it a country. And we'll be able not only to listen, but build our own radio stations. And you know what? There won't be any rules. Let's just broadcast, and that's it. Who cares? Marvin Motz, we have available islands in Japan temperate zone. We are depopulating. Oh, so we'll get a Japanese island. Matambali, Antarctic rent would be cheaper. $20 a month for that island. $20 a month. Are you sure something's not wrong with that island? Oh, it's minus 50 all the time. That's why it's $20 a month. Oh man. Oh, you mean images, Mohinder? Well, depending on the SDRs, good SDRs don't have images. It depends on the front end of the radio. All you need is wire, says G Bone. I might kill lots of penguins. Penguins will help you take that wire as far as you want. Oh, really? Sir Squally Wally, take care. Always nice to have you here. So, hope you guys enjoyed the show today. And we're almost at 4 hours. Before we go, I'm just going to say that you can help me out. Buy an island and go into Shortwave on an island, or just give a little donation. PayPal.me/shortwave, or on PayPal, you can send it to the Yahoo email that you see here. Always appreciated. And you can become a patron at patreon.com/radio and computers. And you know what? Every little bit helps. Every little bit makes the possible for this to happen. I want to thank everybody for being here. It was a nice show today. We diverted into different little things, but it's always a lot of fun to have all of you here. I mean, without you guys, there would be no show. It wouldn't be interesting to be here, honestly. 5 minutes from now, if you want to try, guys, there's Voice of Vietnam, 7315 kilohertz, 7315 kilohertz at 0 UT. If you are on North America, you can try Radio Thailand that I haven't heard in a long time, 13750. And we have a show twice a week, Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, 0 UTC. On Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, that's noon Pacific and 20 UTC. I want to say thank you, everybody, for being here. I mean, it's always nice to have all of you here. And I'm going to go cook something. I don't know what yet, but I'm hungry. Take care, everybody. Love you all. It's always, always really cool to have you here. Thanks for being here and being great fans. Without you guys, there'd be no show. See you next week, everybody. Bye-bye.